This page is a cover of SEGA Saturn magazine, focusing on the latest news and trends for the console in 1997. It's packed with exciting game previews and features. You'll find a spotlight on New Century Evangelion's second impression, suggesting a follow-up to a previous Evangelion game, along with a feature on Grandia, the epic RPG. Mobile battleship Nadesico also gets a mention, with a tagline asking, "Will love win in the end?" hinting at the game's plot. There are also mentions of Mankus GT and Scavenger. The page highlights an ancient Egypt feature for SEGA Saturn, promising a collection of Egypt-themed Saturn games, and an interview with Professor Yoshimura Sakube. Interestingly, there's also a section about arcade games, asking how many will be released, and hinting at the possibility of Saturn ports from the latest AOU show. Down at the bottom, there's a feature on sound novels, specifically Chunsoft, and an interview with their president, Nakamichi Koichi. The magazine also teases a SEGA Saturn complete guide for Mobile Suit Gundam side story, 2-1, The Descendant of Titans. Finally, a list of upcoming SEGA Saturn titles are shown, including Advanced World War, Millennium Empire of 97, J-League Victory Goal 97, Classic Road, Great Naval Battles, Sangokushi Kongming Den, Grand Raid, Metal Slug, and Pacific Storm 2. The cover art itself features two cool-looking mechs, really grabbing your attention. This page showcases the SEGA Saturn game Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, a scenario-making adventure title. It highlights that this game features an original character named Yamaishi Mayumi, designed by Yukari Asada, who is also doing the voice acting. The game boasts real-time polygon graphics, promising smooth character animation during gameplay. It also comes with a bonus CD which includes theme songs, one of which is sung by Yoko Takahashi. The suggested retail price is 6,800 yen before tax. At the bottom of the page, there is information about an EVA card collection campaign associated with the game. This page continues the focus on Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, highlighting it as a real-time action figure adventure. The text emphasizes the game's impressive graphics, stating it's like playing with real figures. It mentions the game features non-scale head models that are over 18 centimeters tall, painted, and pre-assembled, allowing for posable joints. The game is currently available for pre-order. They are also showcasing original cards that are exclusive to SEGA Saturn software and difficult to obtain elsewhere. These are original card Days Masters, and you get 3 with the game as part of a campaign. Collect them to get valuable cards. Finally, they show off a range of Neon Genesis Evangelion action figures, including the original EVA Unit 01, EVA Unit 00, and EVA Unit 02. They list included equipment for each of these figures, such as pallet rifles, progressive knives, and positron rifles, and other weaponry like bazookas, sonic glaives, and smashhawks. The suggested retail price for the figures is 20,000 yen. This page showcases the game Valva, described as a battle car action game for the SEGA Saturn. It highlights that this is the first Saturn software of its kind, focusing on versus combat and vehicular action. The advert mentions it supports 1 to 2 players in scenario mode, and up to 6 players in versus mode. Players can team up and enjoy team battles, with black hole bullets, shockwave cannons, and other over-the-top weapons available. A wide variety of 60 different weapon types can be selected. The game is priced at 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The overall style of the advert uses a graffiti-style font and a brick wall background, giving it a slightly edgy look. An anime-style character is also prominently featured on the left side of the page. This page appears to be an advert for the SEGA Saturn game Battle Buggy, described here as Battle Bay. It proclaims the game's release with the phrase, "Finally, it's happening." The advert emphasizes a grand entrance exam theme, highlighting a battle between 15 elite characters to determine who will be victorious. The main visual is a vibrant and chaotic illustration featuring numerous anime-style characters and 6 distinct vehicle types, showcased at the bottom as icons: buggy, 4-footed gun, road roller, rally car, hover, and battle tank. These likely represent the playable vehicle classes in the game. 3 screenshots at the bottom offer a glimpse of the gameplay, showing a buggy in action, character portraits, and a top-down view of vehicles engaged in combat on a map. Text at the bottom mentions that you can customize your machine freely, including engine, suspension, tires, and battery, to create your original setup. It also credits manga artist Hitoshi for the original character designs, and Kodai Sanshi Kawashima Hiroshi for the BGM, promising exciting battles. On the right side, there's a smaller advert by Victor JVC, promoting the twin operator RGVC2, a dedicated video CD and photo CD player for the Versus Saturn and SEGA Saturn. Overall, the page is a lively and energetic advertisement for Battle Buggy, focusing on its competitive, customizable vehicular combat and appealing character designs, in a similar style and magazine section as the previous page's Valva. This page showcases the GameWare section of the magazine, celebrating its first anniversary with a special prize giveaway. It highlights several upcoming features and games for the SEGA Saturn. There's a RPG Club corner for readers interested in game development, specifically for RPGs, where ideas about maps, character systems, and game design are discussed. 2 serialized games are featured. Eijihan, described as an arcade-style game where you find hidden characters within the screen, and Vivid Boy's Great Adventure 4, which is evolving into an action game from its previous Space Surfer format. The digital comic Legend of Sarah Part 3 continues the popular Virtua Fighter-based comic series, posing the question of what will happen to Sarah. The Game Experience Corner introduces Necronomicon, a digital pinball game aiming to set a new standard for digital pinball on the Saturn. Lastly, Minigame Gondola-kun is presented as a thrilling and unpredictable competition game. As a special anniversary bonus, readers have a chance to win a Peugeot mountain bike. This page is an advertisement for GameWare Volume 4, highlighting it as a renewal for SEGA Saturn, in collaboration with Game Room magazine. It's packed with games and set to release on March 7th, priced at 2,980 yen. There's a section called Boys and Girls Collection, which seems to be a compilation of simple, pick-up-and-play games designed for both boys and girls. Then there's Otanoshimi Slot, a fun little slot machine game where you collect medals and aim for a high score. Barbara Konomi's Numerology appears to be a fortune-telling game, letting you check your luck based on numerology. Digital Comic Uncle continues a popular comic series with quirky stories centered around an uncle character. Finally, Yuppie's Puzzle Land is presented as a fresh puzzle game that you can even play with 2 players. The page also promotes a thanks campaign where you can win prizes like a Sega Digio camera or an Alba Spoon ingot, with a deadline for entries set for April 7th. Overall, it's showcasing a diverse collection of minigames and entertainment software for the SEGA Saturn. This page is dedicated to Assault Suit Lanos 2, a game promising a fusion of anime and gaming with a grand, moving story on a dramatic stage. It highlights the deep emotion and excitement players can expect. The game centers around controlling assault armor units in tactical missions, boasting over 70 stages and more than 50 characters. The screenshots showcase in-game action and character portraits, hinting at both strategic gameplay and a compelling narrative. The page emphasizes the immersive experience, combining anime-style presentation with engaging game mechanics. It sets the stage for a deep, tactical, and story-driven game. This page presents a dramatic scene from what is likely Assault Suit Lanos 2, continuing the theme of intense, story-driven mecha action from the previous page. The artwork showcases a powerful, imposing robot called Armida Dracoa as the centerpiece, surrounded by various characters. The text at the top poses a thought-provoking question. For victory, what will you lose? This hints at the weighty decisions and sacrifices players might face in the game's narrative. The page confirms the game's release date as April 4, 1997, priced at 6,800 yen, as a 2-disc simulation RPG for the SEGA Saturn. It also highlights related media, mentioning a radio program broadcast every Wednesday at 9 p.m. called Asada Yuko's Gramus Radio Night, and promotional tie-ins, such as ending themes and soundtracks released on CD. It seems the game is part of a larger multimedia project, expanding beyond just the game itself. This page is an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn game Jante Battle Cosplayer. It's described as the first anime and live-action cosplay battle mahjong game. The ad highlights that it features 3 famous voice actors, 18 anime characters, and 8 idols, suggesting a diverse cast and a focus on character appeal. It also mentions a release date in April 97 for 6,800 yen, and there are details about 3 campaigns. The first is an open campaign with a prize of 10,000 yen. The second is a closed campaign offering Try software as a present, seemingly based on inputting passwords and questionnaires, with 1,000 winners receiving SEGA Saturn software. The third closed campaign offers a must-have original CD present to everyone who purchases the game and sends in a barcode from the product. Essentially, it's a promotion for a mahjong game with a cosplay theme, leveraging popular anime and idol characters with prize campaigns to boost sales. This page continues the advertisement for Jante Battle Cosplayer, highlighting that all costumes are the target. It describes the game as featuring a battle for costumes, emphasizing that the treasure being costumes originating from 20th century pop culture, brand trends, and even schoolgirl fashion. You play as Saionji Yuko's representative in cosplay battles within a mahjong setting, aiming to win and collect costumes. The gameplay involves selecting anime or real image opponents, and winning gets you their costumes. The aim is to become the strongest cosplayer. The page showcases character art for 2 teams called Moontrap, featuring Yu, Frankworth, Yuriko, and Miki, and Venus, with Gloria, Akimoto Kaori, Arita Ayano, and Tauntaun. Below the character art, there are photos of real people under the headings VIP Idol Club and Rouge Magic Club. The VIP Idol Club includes Mai, Suzuki Risa, Ayako Yuki, and Washio Ryuko. Rouge Magic features Fujimura Mana, Nagatani Yumiko, Okamoto Kyoko, and Igarashi Ryoko. These seem to be the live-action idols mentioned in the previous page's description, suggesting they are also featured in the game. The bottom of the page contains technical details about the game being for SEGA Saturn and copyright information from 1997 by Daiki and System Vision. This page is an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn game Those Who Hunt Elves. The tagline emphasizes that, this time, you can strip them bare in the game, highlighting the comedic and slightly risque nature of the series. It's slated for release in April and will be a 2-disc set, priced at 7,800 yen. The advert mentions pre-order bonuses, including a poster and CD for those who purchase early, featuring voice actors Seki Tomokazu, Miyamura Yuko, Tomizawa Michi, and Michio Mayu. It also lists the various media tie-ins for Those Who Hunt Elves, including the manga in Monthly Comic Gekkan, light novels volumes 1 to 5, the anime on video and Laserdisc Volume 1, a novelization, TV anime soundtrack, Drama Creeds Volumes 13, and Drama CD soundtracks. The central image features key characters from Those Who Hunt Elves, prominently showing Ritsuko Inui wielding a machine gun on top of a tank with other cast members. Below this, small game screenshots show typical visual novel-style gameplay with dialogue boxes and character interactions. Finally, at the bottom, details for a pre-order campaign are displayed, mentioning a lottery where 1,000 people can win a game poster if they pre-order the game. This page is an advert for Monster Slider on SEGA Saturn, highlighting it as a super fun and exhilarating slide puzzle game. They're really pushing the smooth action and the thrill of creating big chains. The game is scheduled for release on March 28th and will cost 5,800 yen. There's also a telephone card giveaway campaign where 100 lucky people can win a Monster Slider themed phone card. You can enter by sending in an answer postcard for a product you've bought. The campaign runs from the release date until the end of June. The page shows off the game's graphics with some screenshots and character art, featuring cute anime-style characters and monster designs. It seems to be emphasizing the simple controls using the L and R buttons for gameplay. This page is an advertisement for 04 Champ Doozy, a new game in the Zeroyon series, coming to both Sega Saturn and PlayStation. It's advertised as the latest Zeroyon, and boasts that the evolution of Zeroyon is unstoppable. The game is slated for release in May 97 and priced at 6,800 yen. It also mentions that the first edition copies will come with special Zero Yion stickers. Interestingly, there's also a mention of a 04 Champ Doozy J Music CD that's available from Media Rings. The page is visually dominated by a large image of a blue sports car, likely showcasing the game's graphics. This page is an advertisement for a game called Planet Joker for the SEGA Saturn. It's presented as the first publicly solicited work and is described as a dramatic shooting game with quarter-view perspective. The tagline is, "The fate of the capital is entrusted to the girl's hands." The page highlights the game's features, mentioning 3D polygon game scenes, anime cutscenes that build the story, and dramatic scenarios unfolding during missions in normal mode. It teases a true ending that awaits in the final mission. There are screenshots showing gameplay and a mecha selection screen. Interestingly, it's also a recruitment advert from a company called Naxat Soft, seeking game creators. They're inviting people to join them in making games, emphasizing they are looking for creators with fresh ideas. They are open to applications from students to freelance creators, even hinting at the possibility of earning big money. They are looking for programmers, CG designers, graphic designers, sound creators, planners, voice actors, and more. The application period was until the end of April 1997. Finally, the page lists the staff for Planet Joker, including names for graphic design, voice acting, sound, scenario, and cooperation, and mentions the game is scheduled for release on March 7th and will cost 5,800 yen. It asks, can you surpass this work? This page showcases 2 books dedicated to Sakura Wars. The first one, titled Sakura Wars Design and Setting Material Collection, is described as a treasure trove of information for fans. It gathers together all aspects of Sakura Wars, including original illustrations and design materials. It promises to cover everything from the Imperial Opera Troupe and Floral Division members to Kuma and mecha designs, including interviews with the staff, behind-the-scenes stories, and rare development materials. It even mentions bonus presents for readers. This book aims to be a definitive guide to the Sakura Wars world. The second book, called Sakura Wars Secret File, is presented as a SEGA Saturn Magazine Photo CD Maniac Collection Volume 1. This one focuses on the game itself, promising a large volume of character and mecha setting data and CG artwork that couldn't fit into the game. It even comes with a Kai-drum containing this content. Both books are advertised with great reviews and now available, and list prices. The Design and Setting Material Collection is priced at 2,000 yen and the Secret File at 1,480 yen, with the Secret File being compatible with SEGA Saturn, Windows, Macintosh, 3Do, and PCFX if you have the appropriate Kai-drum player. This page is showcasing strategy guides and art books for a few different games. The main focus seems to be on a book for Primerial 2 from the Can Can Bunny series. This guide is advertised as a strategy and setting material collection, packed with info for both the Windows and SEGA Saturn versions of the game, and promising to be a complete and definitive guide. They're really emphasizing the cute graphics of all the characters in the game, showing screenshots to highlight this. There's also an advert for an Eve Burst Error, Original Picture and Setting Material Collection. This one's for the adventure game, Eve Burst Error, and includes original artwork, setting details, staff interviews, and even a glossary of terms related to the game. Finally, they are advertising an Oni Goko Rants, official setting material collection for the Windows 95 simulation game, Oni Goko Rants. This book boasts a large 200 pages, and is said to be essential for anyone wanting to fully conquer the game, with tons of beautiful graphics and simulation strategies. As a bonus, it even comes with a special Alice Soft B2 poster. All these books are available now and are published by SoftBank. This page is the contents page for SEGA Saturn Magazine, Volume 8, from March 21, 1997. It kicks off with an interview on page 28 with Chunsoft's president, Nakamura Koichi, and staff, focusing on the sound novel game, Machi. Page 32 is a special report covering a bunch of games, including Neon Genesis, Evangelion Second Impression, Grandia, Sky Target, what seems to be Manx TT Superbike, Tuge King the Spirits 2, Fake Down, Sakura Wars, Hanagumi Taisen Columns, and Angelique Special 2. Moving on to page 57, there's a special feature about Ancient Egypt Pilgrimage for SEGA Saturn. This section dives into Saturn games themed around Egypt, and includes an interview with Professor Kazuyuki Miyata. Page 81 features a special dialogue called Whoop Kaze, between Kenji Ino and Junichiro Kawazoe. Finally, page 114 has a second special feature asking, how many will be released? exploring new arcade games from the AOU show and the possibility of them being ported to the Saturn. The image on the right side of the page shows a 3D rendered woman dressed as a police officer, possibly related to one of the games mentioned like Fake Down. This is a game index from a magazine. It lists various video games and their corresponding page numbers. Games featured include Advanced World War, pages 100-138, Millennium Emperor's Deathmatch, page 84, Angelique Special 2, page 48, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1, page 108, Kyukyoku Tiger 2 Plus, pages 56-138, and many others. The index covers a range of genres and platforms, providing readers with a quick way to locate information within the magazine. Some games, like Kamaitachi no Yoru and Yuwaku Classic Road, are listed on multiple pages. SEGA Saturn Magazine announces several exciting developments. SEGA is hosting a large Virtua Fighter 3 tournament, Java T Battle Koshin Arc, with regional qualifiers leading to a national final in July. A new Osaka amusement spot, Padu, will open March 1st, featuring virtual reality and CG attractions like shooting games, adventure rides, and a Sega Rally Arena. This collaboration between Sega and Osaka Gas Urban Development boasts 5 main attractions and 200 machines, including karaoke and bowling. Furthermore, a new SEGA Saturn online service called Purara, launched by JPhone HomeNet on February 15th, offers a dedicated CD-ROM and modem support with free internet and email for March signups. Finally, a game and sound event, Megatropolis Power Slam, featuring Top Skater with DJS and MCS, highlights Sega's focus on the Saturn's entertainment. Promotions and events are underway for several games and music releases. Puzzle Bobble 3 features Bub and Bob appearances across various towns, with opportunities to win prizes. The All Japan Puyo Puyo Masters Tournament will be held on March 30th, offering limited entry and special merchandise. The launch of the Saturn puzzle game, Tenchi Muyo, necessary because it's Earth, will be celebrated with events in Tokyo, with ticket giveaways for those who purchase the game. A K1 Grand Prix 97 fighting game tournament offers prizes related to the Fighting Illusion K1 Grand Prix 97 game. The Satron Spring Fair rewards purchases of Satron label CDs and videos with a special sampler CD. Finally, 4 new CD releases are announced. Singles from Kane Oki and Hiroko Moriguchi, a radio drama CD featuring popular voice actors, and a live concert video and CD set from Ayumi Hamasaki. This page is a book review section, highlighting strategy guides for various Sega Saturn games. The main focus seems to be on Tomb Raider guides, as part of an Egypt-themed feature, with the reviewer humorously suggesting these guides as tools to regain composure. 3 Tomb Raider guides are reviewed, all emphasizing detailed maps and walkthroughs, especially for finding hidden items and solving puzzles. First up is Game Mook Tomb Raider, praised for its volume and detailed maps, though noted to be slightly text-heavy. Next is Tomb Raider Perfect Guide, focusing on complete strategy and maps, covering all stages and secret rooms. Tomb Raider Strategy of the Emperor is highlighted for its complete strategy guide, stage maps, and information on all hidden rooms. Moving on from Tomb Raider, Riglord Saga 2 Perfect Guide promises detailed game data, including character introductions, map data, and item information, aiming to be practical for gameplay. Riglord Saga 2 Cloth and War Basic Concept seems to focus on world setting and scenario explanations, using illustrations and maps to explain the game's story and systems. For action fans, there's Virtua Cop 2 Killer Manual, described as densely packed with information about the game's mechanics, enemy AI, and item locations, with stage layouts and developer interviews also mentioned. Finally, Fighting Illusion-esque 1 Grand Prix Strongest Tactics Guide is reviewed, aimed at fighting game enthusiasts, focusing on character move lists, combos, and CPU battle strategies, and emphasizing full-color visuals for easy understanding. This page is showcasing the top 15 best-selling Sega Saturn games. It's presented as a sales chart from Weekly Sega Saturn Magazine's data stations. The page starts with a general comment about the current software market, noting that while new titles are being released, sales are generally slow, with hopes that the March new release rush will boost things. The chart itself lists games ranked from 1st to 15th based on sales. At the top is Puyo Puyo Sun, described as maintaining its #1 spot due to its consistently good sales and broad appeal. Following it at number 2 is Metal Slug 2, highlighted as a hardcore action shooting game with impressive graphics and gameplay. Third place is taken by Sega Ages Fantasy Zone, a faithful port of the classic arcade game, described as a perfect conversion. Other notable games mentioned in the top 15 include Sakura Wars 2, Zap, Snowboarding Tricks, Neon Genesis Evangelion, New Package, Eve Burst Error, Tomb Raiders, Roommate Inoue Ryoko, Daytona USA Circuit Edition, Fighters Megamix, Dynamite Deca, Tenkai no Syo, Sakura Wars, and each game entry includes sales figures and a brief comment, often praising gameplay, graphics, or overall quality. The descriptions give a sense of each game's genre and appeal, targeting different player preferences, from puzzle and action to adventure and racing. This page features 2 distinct top charts related to games. The first chart, titled User Data Top 20, reveals the games that Sega Saturn users most want to see ported to the console. Topping this list is the Final Fantasy series, followed by Dragon Quest and Dead or Alive. Other requested titles include Oh My Goddess, New Super Robot Wars, Scud Race, Rent-A-Hero, Phantasy Star, Sega Touring Car Championship, and Virtua Striker. The chart highlights user interest in RPGs, fighting games, and racing games for the Saturn. The second chart, Shop Data Top 15, showcases the most popular arcade video games based on recent data. Virtua Fighter 3 leads this chart, followed by Virtualon and Street Fighter X, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, and Samurai Shodown 2-1. Blades of Blood are also high-ranking. Further down the list are games like Scud Race, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Tokyo Wars, Sega Touring Car Championship, Puyo Puyo Sun, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter. The text mentions that fighting games remain the dominant force in the arcade scene, and notes the upcoming release of Tekken 3 as a highly anticipated title. The page provides a snapshot of both consumer desires for Saturn games and current arcade game trends. This page reveals the current top 30 most anticipated upcoming Sega Saturn games, as voted for by users. Grandia, the RPG, holds the top spot with 486 points, though its development progress is still unknown. In second place is Virtua Fighter 3, with 396 points and a 10% development completion. Third is Underclassmen, an adventure game, scoring 272 points and nearing completion at 97%. The page also highlights Pickup Check Game, which is Manx TT Superbike. This racing game is marked as 100% complete. Lastly, The Other Check, coming soon. Section previews the Conveni. Anumachi wo Doku Senseyo and Marvel Superheroes as titles to look out for. This page presents the OSU Reader's Race Volume 43, which is a reader's poll ranking currently released Sega Saturn games. It seems to be a snapshot of game popularity at a particular point in time, dated February 28th. At the top of the rankings, Sakura Wars in a software bundle tops the chart, followed by Eve Burst Error and Scarlet Red Droplets. Panzer Dragoon Zwei and Nights into Dreams are also high up in the top 5. Other notable titles appearing in the top positions include Fighters Megamix, Virtua Cop 2, and Street Fighter 02. The page also features a column corner discussing the poll results. It highlights Sakura Wars reaching the top and suggests that it might be due to the spring season setting. It also mentions Eve moving up in the rankings. The column further discusses a chaos in the lower ranks and suggests that Dezus Emperor Advent is causing a stir, moving up significantly in the rankings, and jokes about it being Desu. Below this column, there is another OSU Pio Hyo Hyo B section, which seems to be related to games also ranked by readers, but perhaps with a different criteria or smaller scope than the main A ranking. The OSU Reader's Race Saturn B rankings continue with a vast list of Saturn games, spanning from position 173 to 283, showcasing a comprehensive look at popular titles. The page also highlights new game arrivals. Featured games include Sakura Wars, praised as a fan-pleasing software bundle. Puyo Puyo Sun is highlighted for its refined puzzle gameplay, appealing visuals, and accessibility. Roommate Jinguji Saya is lauded for its realistic, interactive experience of spending time with a girl. Finally, Kitchen Stadium Tour, a cooking game, and Slotting Shooting, a strategic puzzle shooter, are presented, with positive reviews for their unique elements. This article reviews the SEGA Saturn port of Vampire Hunter, Darkstalkers, The Night Warriors, a fighting game hailed as a 2D masterpiece. The reviewer, Masayuki, praises the game's stunning graphics, fluid animation, and unique characters, differentiating it from the Street Fighter series. The Saturn version is lauded for its faithful recreation of the arcade experience, including full animation and sound, enhanced by RAM cartridge support. The review recommends the game to both veterans and newcomers, giving it a score of 8.9863 and a Palace rank of 9.0. The article also teases new playable characters in the Saturn release, such as Donovan, Pyron, and Phobos, while also featuring positive reader feedback, and anticipates the release of Vampire Savior, Darkstalkers 3. Finally, the article includes a comprehensive ranking list of Saturn games. This SEGA Saturn fan page previews upcoming games like Neon Genesis Evangelion, 8.316, Sega Ages Fantasy Zone, 9.121, and Zap Snowboarding Tricks, 7.689. Reader comments mention titles like Puyo Puyo Sun and No Objection. The page emphasizes the enduring appeal of retro games, particularly on the SEGA Saturn. Readers are invited to participate in a prediction game, submitting game rankings via postcard for a chance to win prizes like memory cards, joysticks, and wireless controllers. Entry details include submitting game reviews, up to 5, and selecting desired prizes. An odds table ranks SEGA Saturn accessories. Special prizes are offered across 3 different courses, along with a double chance to win. This page is a special news report announcing Machi, which is Chunsoft's brand new sound novel game for the SEGA Saturn, and is the 3rd game in their sound novel series. It's planned for release in the summer of 1997, though the price is still to be decided, and it will be on 2 creeds. The article highlights that Chunsoft, known for hits like Otogirisu and Kamaitachi no Yoru, which pioneered the sound novel genre, is back with Machi as their latest title for SEGA Saturn. The text emphasizes that Machi is an evolved sound novel, aiming to deliver new emotional experiences and diverse image expressions. They chose the SEGA Saturn for its large-capacity RAM and tool support. The game seems massive in scope, boasting around 400 characters and using 6,000 to 7,000 photos. The scenario is described as a large-scale, long-term project focusing on the concept of 100 people, 100 scenarios. There's a special report section indicating the game is 70% complete, and the article talks about how Otogirisu was a genre-defining title, and Machi is building upon that foundation. The page shows photos from the press conference announcing the game and also screenshots that give a peek at the game's visuals. The overall tone is very enthusiastic, suggesting Machi is poised to be a significant title for the SEGA Saturn and a major step forward for sound novels. This article previews Machi Shibuya Bomb Threat Forecast for the SEGA Saturn, a sound novel set in a sprawling Shibuya, unlike previous confined settings. Presented as a challenge letter, the game promises a grand drama featuring multiple protagonists, each with individual goals within the city. A mystery element is suggested, asking, who is the culprit? The narrative blends urban realism with potential darker themes, referencing elements like discount tickets and drugs. Machi is touted as the evolution of the sound novel genre, utilizing text, images, and branching choices to create a multi-scenario adventure enhanced by sound. The game employs an autosave feature for easier play, reminiscent of reading a book. The article positions Machi as a successor to Chunsoft's earlier sound novels, Otogirisu and Kamaitachi no Yoru. Machi, Shibuya Bomb Threat Forecast, for the SEGA Saturn, is highly anticipated by Sega, who see it as a new generation image for the company. The sound novel, developed in collaboration with Chunsoft after 2 years of negotiation, is praised for its high quality and engaging gameplay. The game features otaku detective Kima Amiya's 5 Days, where players guide Kima through Shibuya, making choices and solving mysteries within a 5-day time limit to achieve a high score. Screenshots highlight the game's blend of humor and suspense, and the story's core question centers on the player's ability to save Shibuya within the given time frame. Original creator Hidekazu Naganaka describes Machi as a dramatic experience where multiple protagonist stories intertwine, offering players a sense of freedom within the Shibuya setting. It aims to be an evolution of the sound novel genre, building upon previous successes while exploring new narrative possibilities. This page features an emergency interview with Koichi Nakamura, the president of Chunsoft. The interview delves into why Chunsoft decided to develop for the Sega Saturn, especially considering the popularity of PlayStation at the time. Nakamura explains that Sega approached Chunsoft for Saturn development around last summer, and despite initially focusing on PC Engine and Mega Drive, the Saturn's Crydrom capabilities and processing power became attractive. He mentions that sound novels are well suited for Xadrom format, allowing for high-quality visuals and audio. He notes that the Saturn's strength lies in its 2D sprite handling and background layering, making it ideal for the visual style of sound novels like Machi. Nakamura emphasizes that while business considerations are important, Chunsoft prioritizes creating interesting games. They chose Saturn because its hardware features align well with their development goals for sound novels, particularly in terms of image quality and processing for smooth animations and backgrounds. He feels that while polygon graphics are becoming more common, 2D still has significant appeal, and the Saturn excels at it. The page also includes a screenshot from Machi, showing in-game dialogue and interface, highlighting the visual presentation of the sound novel. The headline at the bottom, "Buffer Capacity, Image Capability Selecting Saturn," reinforces the interview's main point about the technical reasons behind choosing the Saturn for Chunsoft's sound novel development. This page continues the interview with Chunsoft's president, Koichi Nakamura, focusing on the exciting development of Machi and its potential sequels. The headline emphasizes that this is a movie-surpassing huge development, hinting at a scale beyond typical games, with talk of 2 and 3 indicating series potential. The interview delves into the reasons behind choosing the Saturn and the ambitious scope of Machi. They discuss the benefits of Crydrom for sound novels, enabling high-quality visuals and audio, and how the Saturn's 2D capabilities perfectly suit their vision. They mention the game utilizing full-motion video effectively in certain sections, and comparing the save system to similar games, highlighting its user-friendliness. A section titled, "This is Amazing, Latest Machi," details the game's impressive specifications. It highlights the jump from initial smaller room size and dot graphics to a much larger-scale Crydrom project, boasting around 100 real-life photographed locations, and a massive script of 60,007,000 pages, featuring a large cast of 200,400 characters, and a significantly longer development time. Finally, the page features a recruitment drive titled, "Precura for Machi Extra Recruitment." Chunsoft is looking for people to become extras within the game itself, using photos taken in Precura photo booths. A very novel idea. They detail how to apply, requiring applicants to send in Precura photos, showcasing the innovative ways they are integrating real-world elements into Machi. This page introduces the game Fake Down, billing it as an action-adventure title slated for release in the summer of 1997. The page questions whether the protagonist is a savior or something else in a chaotic world. It's described as an action game with shooting elements and even fighting game-style close combat, aiming for a tense and immersive experience akin to watching a series of still photos. The game is set in the near future, in a world consumed by chaos, where virus-infected beings called Fakers roam. A player will confront these Fakers, which are described in more detail with enemy profiles. Mad Muff is a humanoid-type enemy utilizing various weapons. Airwalker is described as a robot-type enemy, suggesting different combat approaches. Gigant is a large, cyborg-like enemy hinting at powerful attacks. The page also introduces Kira, a mysterious girl who holds the key to the story and is deeply involved with the protagonist. It hints at her importance to the unfolding narrative. Screenshots depict gameplay showing a player character in action against robot enemies in what appears to be indoor environments, showcasing both third-person perspective action and combat scenarios. The game is said to be 60% complete at the time of writing. This page is all about Neon Genesis Evangelion's second impression and focuses on early gameplay strategy. The big question it poses is, have you seen Asuka's mop-throwing incident? It seems a key point of interest in the game. The page delves into character compatibility, explaining that relationships between characters in the game are important and influenced by your choices and actions during gameplay. It mentions that your choices during conversations and battles affect character relationships and even impact the ending of the game and battles themselves. It also explores the mystery of increasing choices. Apparently, the choices you get in the game can change based on your playthrough count, your achievements, and other factors. The article specifically highlights the Asuka mop throwing event as an example of this. This event, usually seen at the school pool, becomes available under specific conditions, like playing through the game multiple times and achieving certain goals. Clearing the game multiple times unlocks new content. Finally, the page teases bonus elements that are being discovered. It mentions phantom flyers, promotional items given out at game shows, and highlights that achieving 2 or more specific in-game milestones unlocks bonus content like Asuka strikes in the game's Nerve file library. Neon Genesis Evangelion's Second Impression is advertised as an adventure game and was released on March 7th for 6,800 yen. Neon Genesis Evangelion's Second Impression's gameplay revolves around a branching narrative shaped by player choices. The game highlights how decisions in various locations, the school entrance, grounds, classroom, and Nerve headquarters, influence the storyline and relationships. Early choices, such as who to greet at the school entrance, trigger different events. Interactions with characters like Asuka and Mizumi are crucial, as choices impact compatibility and romantic paths. For instance, the Asuka watching scene unlocks events based on player actions and relationship progress. The game also features action-oriented choices during battles in Nerve HQ, where quick decisions impact outcomes. Ultimately, the player's choices determine the ending, including relationships with Rei or Asuka, and whether those relationships flourish or fail. Compatibility with Asuka, in particular, can be negatively affected by poor choices. This page delves into the relationship dynamics of Neon Genesis Evangelion's Second Impression and how your choices shape the story. It highlights that compatibility with Asuka and Rei is key and changes based on your decisions, creating branching paths in the narrative. The page breaks down how your choices affect relationships, starting with general partner selection and moving into combat scenarios. It shows examples of dialogue options that demonstrate how your responses impact your compatibility with Asuka and Rei scenario. For instance, it explains how choosing to go to the front or rear in battle can drastically alter Asuka's reaction based on her personality and compatibility with Shinji. If your compatibility with Asuka is low and you choose to go to the rear, she might react negatively. The page also gives concrete countermeasures, essentially gameplay advice, suggesting that understanding the characters' personalities is vital for making the right choices. It emphasizes that selecting responses based on character traits will lead to better outcomes and improve your relationships, which are crucial for reaching the best endings in the game. Finally, it briefly touches on enemy behavior in combat, noting that enemies are not very mobile, and how your combat choices are also intertwined with relationship building. It ends with a small segment titled, "Eva is out of control," offering some additional commentary or game tips, possibly from the developers. This page analyzes combat in Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, focusing on relationship impacts. 2 combat modes exist: long range, compatibility-based, leading to Asuka or Rei's involvement, and close range, cable status dependent, affecting which Eva faces the Angel's attack. A key scenario: rescuing the transfer student, showcases branching paths. Ignoring the rescue puts Rei or Asuka at risk, while prioritizing it leads to system combat and Angel defeat. System Battle 1-point advice offers gameplay tips, emphasizing anticipating enemy attacks, button accuracy, decisiveness, evasion, and special attack timings. Practice is encouraged. Finally, the page announces the production of Rebirth 2 Provisional and the availability of advance tickets, likely promoting the upcoming movie alongside the game. This page is a special report focusing on the game Grandia, moving from system details to highlight the story and graphics. It introduces the main character, Justin, who lives in the port town of Parm. Parm is described as a large town located on the eastern edge of the Messina continent, where people are starting to say that the age of great adventure is over. However, Justin dreams of adventure, inspired by a spirit stone he has, a memento from his father. The page shows various screenshots, including concept art and in-game scenes of Parm, showcasing the town's design and atmosphere. There are also images of Justin in different locations within Parm, including a restaurant called Blue Marlin, which is run by his family. The text suggests that Justin's adventures will begin from Parm and the surrounding areas, as he seeks to uncover the mysteries of the ancient civilization related to his spirit stone and his father's legacy. The reviewer seems keen to delve deeper into the story and atmosphere of Grandia, suggesting it's a key selling point of the game. This page is titled, Ancient Civilization and Angel Mythology, and continues the Grandia special report. It dives deeper into the game's story, mentioning that the game is set in a world over 10,000 years after an ancient civilization and angel mythology. Justin, our main character, is now exploring ancient ruins as part of a museum tour guided by the curator. The text suggests that this exploration of the ruins is where the adventure truly begins. There are screenshots showcasing various locations, including inside the ruins, and concept art providing a glimpse into the design process. The page then shifts focus to the battle system, in a section titled, How Will It Be? It poses questions about the command input and system details. The Q&A section reveals that Grandia's battle system is built around 4 core concepts: to capture the fun of grid-based games, to present lively, active characters in battle, to use simple command input methods, and to integrate dungeon exploration seamlessly with battles and strategy. The combat system aims to blend real-time elements with command inputs, allowing for strategic decision-making during battles. It's also mentioned that there's a gauge at the bottom right of the screen in battles, which is a new visual feature to enhance the gameplay experience. The screenshots show battle scenes with characters like Justin, Fina, Sue, and Gadwin. This page is all about the exhilarating aerial combat game Sky Target for the SEGA Saturn. It's described as a 3D dogfight experience where you shoot down waves of enemies. The page highlights that your player aircraft uses a damage system, indicated by a meter. If this meter hits 0 from enemy attacks, it's game over. The game features 2 types of weapons you can utilize: the Vulcan Cannon and missiles. The Vulcan Cannon is described as a standard, forward-firing weapon, effective against enemies, even bosses. Missiles are lock-on weapons, ideal for taking down targets on the ground or in the air, offering versatility in combat. Boss battles are a key element, and they come with a time limit. You need to defeat the giant boss enemies within the given time. The game displays a time meter for bosses, showing their remaining durability. If you fail to defeat the boss before time runs out, they escape, and you'll fail that stage. The page also mentions that bosses have weak points, hinted at by the meter itself, suggesting strategic attacks are crucial for victory. Successfully defeating a boss within the time limit results in a mission completed screen and bonus points, while failing leads to an enemy escaped screen. Sky Target is a Sega shooting game scheduled for release on March 28, priced at 5,800 yen, and supports multi-controllers. This page dives deeper into Sky Target, showcasing Mission 3, which is selectable after clearing Mission 2, offering a choice between the jungle and city stages. Mission 3A, set in the jungle, is described as having beautiful green scenery, but warns of ground-based anti-aircraft weaponry. The advice is to destroy missile launchers quickly with missiles. It also mentions that air-to-air combat will occur, even with enemies that are hard to lock onto, suggesting the use of the Vulcan Cannon for these situations. The screenshots show gameplay in a lush jungle environment with missile attacks. Mission 3B takes place in the city, described as a perilous skyscraper zone. Here, the challenge is navigating through high-rise buildings at high speed, with potential damage from collisions. The page highlights that attacks can come unexpectedly from obscured viewpoints, emphasizing the need to pay attention to enemy movements. The screenshots show cityscapes with buildings and aerial combat. The page also introduces 2 key enemies. First, the armored battle airship Flamberge, a massive airship armed with numerous cannons and laser guns in its gondola. The strategy is to target its gondola. Second, the armored battle helicopter Vajura, a powerful helicopter with 2 rotor blades. It's stated that the central hatch of the main body opens to deploy missile pods and airborne mines, making it a dangerous opponent, especially when it opens its hatch to attack. The next page spotlights Manx TT Superbike, revealing what they call the rumored Superbike mode. Apparently, if you clear the challenge mode and rank in the top 3 on Laxi Coast, TT Course, and Laxi Coast Reverse Mirror courses, and also get first on TT Course Reverse Mirror, you unlock the Superbike mode. This mode brings in 3 new Superbikes. There's a red Suzuki GSX 750, a blue Suzuki GSX 750, and a Honda RVF RC45. The article describes the red Suzuki as being fast, reaching top speed quickly, and easy to handle, making it good for pushing limits. The blue Suzuki, while also fast, is noted for its stable cornering and balanced performance, suggesting it's good for consistent racing. The Honda RVF RC45 is portrayed as a high-performance racing machine that excels in cornering and is very responsive, although maybe a bit trickier to handle. The page also teases a hidden element called sheep in the Saturn version. They hint that this sheep element is also present in the Saturn version, similar to the arcade version, and wonder if it's activated by a command like in the arcade. It sounds like they're keeping the details of this sheep feature a bit of a mystery. The article confirms the release date in Japan as March 14th, priced at 5,800 yen, and mentions it's a racing game supporting racing and multi-controllers. The screenshots show in-game action, track maps, and the new superbikes in action. This page dives into the opening movies of Manx TT Superbike for the SEGA Saturn, with an interview with the director, Shinichi Fuji from AM3 Research. It seems there are two opening movies, a Sega Suzuki edition and a Castrol Honda edition. The article highlights that these aren't just simple ports, but feature unique opening movies. The interview reveals that actual race footage was used as the base for these opening movies. The aim was to create visually impressive and exciting openings using effects and CG, emphasizing the coolness factor. The inclusion of Sega and Saturn logos in the movie was a deliberate choice to remind players they are playing a Saturn game. Fuji mentions the opening movie's purpose is to get players hyped and eager to play. The production was quite intense, taking 3 days and nights to complete. He notes the Saturn version uses more effects than the arcade version, which was CG only. While he personally prefers live footage, he's open to using any technique that enhances the final product. Overall, Fuji expresses satisfaction with the opening movies and hopes players will enjoy them. He hopes the movies convey the excitement of the game and encourages players to simply enjoy playing. He also reflects on the evolving landscape of game development, noting the increasing possibilities for expression and the importance of constant self-reflection in the industry. This page unveils the upcoming release of Touge King 2, The Spirits, the second installment in the popular Touge series, and is due out in about a month. This special report dives into what makes this sequel a step up. One key improvement highlighted is the impressive roster of 18 selectable cars, each boasting a realistically rendered instrument panel to immerse you in the driving experience. The article emphasizes the variety, from sporty cars to even wagons, ensuring each vehicle has unique performance and characteristics. The attention to detail extends to the interiors, with each car's dashboard meticulously recreated. Another significant feature is the enhanced replay system, described as completely free and flexible. You'll be able to review your races from any angle you desire, including cockpit view and distant perspectives. This isn't just for show. It's presented as a valuable tool to study your driving, especially your drifting techniques. The screenshots showcase the gameplay and replay options, emphasizing the drifting action. Published by Atlas and slated for release on April 18th at 5,800 yen, it's clearly positioned as a racing game that's aiming to deliver a more refined and engaging experience than its predecessor. Touge King 2, The Spirits offers a rich gameplay experience. Players can extensively tune their cars with 7 part types and in-game advice. A free driving mode analyzes your driving, providing tips for improvement, especially useful for beginners. The time attack mode features a mirror car to race against your own best times. The drift contest mode, Doricon, evaluates drifting skills, speed, and crash avoidance, awarding ranks from AAA to E. The game includes 3 courses. Course A with winding sections, Course B for top-level races, and Course C in a city environment. This page delves into a deeper understanding of Sakura Wars columns, breaking down the game's system mechanics. It's titled, Understanding Hanakura Deeper, System Analysis Edition. The page explains the core gameplay elements like attack, defense, and magic gemstones. In attack, you send time gemstones to your opponent, which fills their gauge and causes blocks to disappear. Building up combos is key here. Defense involves clearing lines from the bottom of your field to defend against attacks, but the game notes character choice limits defensive effectiveness and warns against inefficient play. Magic gemstones are special stones that clear many gems when activated at level 3. and strategically using them to create combos is important. The article highlights that characters have unique traits impacting attack, defense, and how quickly time gemstones are deployed, leading to different strategies. It then introduces 3 characters with their profiles. Sakura Shinguji is described as balanced and easy to use, great for beginners, with medium attack and defense, and standard time gem deployment. Sumire Kanzaki is offense-focused with high attack and defense, but slow time gem deployment, making her strong for high-level play and defense-oriented strategies. Maria Tachibana is described as having powerful attacks, but requiring precise timing due to her fast time gem deployment and low defense, recommended for advanced players. In essence, this page is an analysis of the gameplay system of Sakura Wars columns, focusing on attack, defense, special gems, and how character selection influences strategy and playstyle. This page unveils the Cinderella mode for Sakura Wars columns. It seems to be a story mode where you aim to become the lead role in a play. The page breaks down the Flower Troop Special Public Performance aspect, highlighting that this mode is different from the standard story mode. The page outlines the flow of Cinderella mode in 4 steps. First, you choose a partner, and then engage in columns battles. It emphasizes that these are strategic battles to progress towards becoming Cinderella. The goal is to defeat all Flower Troop members to prove your worth. Finally, you'll discover who is Cinderella as the story unfolds. The distribution decision battle. Let's start. Section details how you select your stage opponent from the Flower Troop members. The screenshots show battles against Iris and Kofran, and suggest that you progress through the troop members to win the role. The dialogue snippets show in-game conversations, adding to the story element. Character profiles are provided for Lee Kofran, Iris Chateaubriand, and Kana Kirishima. Kofran is described as having long charge time, but high power, making her strong at defense. Iris, in contrast, has short charge time and high attack power, making her an offensive character who can quickly overwhelm opponents. Kana is presented as balanced with medium attack and defense and standard charge time deployment, suitable for consistent play. Overall, this page introduces an exciting new single-player mode for Sakura Wars columns that combines puzzle battles with a Cinderella-themed storyline and character progression. This page dives into Angelique Special 2, highlighting the Sanctuary as the new stage for this installment in the Angelique series. The page describes the Sanctuary as a place where queen candidates are brought and nurtured, revealing it's the residence of the current queen, Angelique. The queen candidate dormitory section explains the player's personal room within the Sanctuary. It mentions that players can keep a diary, read books, listen to Guardian Saints' voices, and adjust the game's BGM in their room. It also details gameplay elements, like checking the growth status of trainees, organizing belongings in chests, and even writing letters at a desk. They also mention the importance of rest, and that someone might visit your room if you stay up late. The character Rachel is introduced as a researcher from the Royal Holy Research Institute, and another queen candidate who is described as intelligent and calm, but perhaps a rival. Finally, the page asks, "What type of lady are you?" suggesting that in this game, the player character is portrayed as a normal, cheerful girl, and that understanding this aspect is key to enjoying the game, hinting that Guardian Saints and educators will be interested in this. It shows 3 example faces of the player character, emphasizing the normal girl aspect. Angelique Special 2's Sanctuary offers diverse locations for the queen candidate. The Royal Holy Research Institute, overseen by Director Ernst, houses the Star Globe for observation and Holy Beast nurturing, aided by Guardian Saints. The fortune-telling house aids in love trials via compatibility checks and spells. The palace, home to the Guardian Saints and aides, allows prayer for Holy Beast growth and interaction with the saints. The Forest Lake is a romantic spot. The garden provides walking courses, questions, talks, Sunday appointments, and a promise tree. Finally, the school building serves as a relaxing break area for interactions. This page is all about Angelique Special Tea Break, diving into the world of Angelique Special 2. It's like a chat with the game creators, discussing the project's origins and targeting female players. They mention the game development started way back around '90, aiming to create a game specifically for women, which was a bit of a challenge at the time. They talk about how everyone on the development team was female, which is pretty cool. The interview touches on the differences between the first Angelique and Special 2, highlighting changes in the main character and overall feel, aiming for a gentler and more romantic experience. There's also a bit about the anime adaptation and the Super Famicom version, and how they aim to create a different experience in each. They discuss the player base, noting that it's mostly women who enjoy these games, and the team is really focused on making it appealing for them, even discussing how some male players might find it a bit too girly. Overall, it's a behind-the-scenes look into creating a game specifically for a female audience back in the day. The Angelique Special 2 page explores future game development plans, specifically considering an RPG or adventure game format. Developers are considering a strong romantic element with a definitive ending and welcome player feedback. They're open to incorporating elements from the first game, like new characters, though they acknowledge the challenges of adding new characters. The article also details the game's origins, stemming from a female student's concept of a game where the goal is to become queen. The developers admit the game's design aims to attract young men and boys. They highlight personal experiences, including extensive gameplay and shared viewing of all the endings. Character design emphasizes manga archetypes, including the cool, strict, and playboy types. A key gameplay element involves choosing between ambition, becoming queen, and pursuing romantic relationships, framing the core decision for players. This page features an article titled 25 O'Clock Departure, Super Eccentric Kyojin Osami Saburo, with the subtitle, Slash the Game Industry from Distribution Measures. This is volume 3 of a series. The article features Kyojin Oshima, previously editor-in-chief of Shadow Magazine and now a SEGA executive, discussing game business strategies and their impact on the industry. The central theme revolves around the conflict between the game business and the record business, especially regarding cradron pricing and distribution. Oshima highlights Sega's strategy as a price destruction to compete, comparing it to how music creds were priced. He mentions the Saturn version of D, known internationally as D, as a key example of this pricing strategy. Oshima argues that Sega chose a competitive pricing strategy, which was criticized at the time, but was aimed at creating a new market. He elaborates on the resale system prevalent in the music industry, and how Sega aimed to disrupt traditional distribution models. He states that Sega's approach was to offer high-quality games at lower prices to appeal to a wider audience, comparing it to a boomerang effect, where lower prices eventually benefit the company. The discussion touches on how Sega's strategy influenced the market and consumer behavior, emphasizing the importance of quality and pricing in the game industry. This page presents the Saturn Presses section, highlighting the latest and upcoming games for the Sega Saturn. Under the heading New Release Title, it showcases recently launched games including The Crow, likely based on the movie, Fishing Koshin 2, Civilization, referring to the strategy game Civilization, Sankyo Fever Real Machine Simulation S, a pachinko simulator, Bradle Discs Special Edition Kogel Encyclopedia 100, a multimedia disc about Kogel culture, and Q-Palette, which sounds like a puzzle or creative game. The next section, Coming Soon Soft, previews highly anticipated titles. Among them are Advanced World War Rise and Fall of the Thousand-Year Empire, a strategy war game, Professional Baseball Greatest 997, a baseball simulation, Yushun Classic Road, a horse racing game, Uncharted Waters 2, New Horizons, the classic adventure RPG, and Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, Wall of Fire. Further down the list are Grand Red, potentially a racing title, the iconic run-and-gun shooter Metal Slug, Pacific Storm 2, a World War II strategy game, the fighting game Advanced vs. G, Farland Story FX, Lord of Valkyrie, a strategy RPG, Graduation Crossworld, a life simulation game, Planet Joker, which sounds space-themed, Shinuken, another fighting game, and Stand By Say You, possibly a communication or adventure game. The page acts as a guide for Sega Saturn owners looking for new software releases and future game purchases. This page features 2 new game releases. First up is The Crow, which is described as a 3D action game adaptation of the movie The Crow, City of Angels. It emphasizes the use of motion capture for realistic character movements and action-packed gameplay with weapons like knives and shotguns. The review highlights the intense action and the goal of defeating all enemies. The second game featured is Fishing Koshin 2, a fishing game focusing on tournament play and different fishing styles, including lure fishing and boat fishing. It mentions a beginner-friendly tutorial mode to help new players get started. The page shows screenshots of the fishing gameplay, including catching a large tuna. Character portraits are also shown, likely representing different teams or anglers in the game. This page showcases two brand new games. First up is Civilization, a large-scale simulation game where you nurture a civilization and create history. Players take on the role of a leader and guide their people through war, diplomacy, and city development, aiming for world domination or even space migration. The game starts in 4000 BC and progresses to add 2100, with players choosing from 14 nations and various historical leaders. The reviewer notes it's beginner-friendly, with on-screen advice to help players. Next we have Sankyo Fever Simulation Shens, a pachinko simulator featuring 6 popular Sankyo pachinko machines. This game is for serious pachinko fans, allowing players to experience authentic pachinko gameplay and aim for big wins. It includes modes like Payout Winner and Specified Number of Wins, along with customizable settings to tweak your experience. The game even has a dedicated controller to recreate the feeling of a real pachinko hall at home. The reviewer highlights the realistic simulation and the excitement of hitting jackpots in the game. The next page dives into 2 new titles. First up is Pradal Disc Special Edition Kogel Encyclopedia 100. This is described as a digital photo collection and database featuring 100 Kogels, which are trendy young women. The game boasts full-color photos from various angles, showcasing the girls' expressions and even incorporating short movie clips. It includes profiles with names, hobbies, favorite spots, and even items they carry, aiming for a comprehensive database of these fashionable girls. The reviewer notes it's perfect for those who like Kogels and offers a deep dive into their world, all packed onto one candela. Next we have Kyubaku Hatsuku, described as human bomb sports, and an exhilarating action game. You play cube, navigating fields, collecting crystals within a time limit, and throwing them into a goal to clear stages. It's an action game with puzzle elements, as you need to rotate the cube itself to progress. The game promises intense battles with multiple players. The reviewer highlights the blend of action and puzzle elements as key to the game's appeal, and mentions the white-hot multiplayer battles. Finally, there's a section announcing a special Power Memory Seal version of Eve Burst Error. This version is a multi-site adventure game and will include a power memory seal. Pre-orders are being taken for a March 7th release, priced at 7,800 yen. There's also a competition to win Eve posters. This page kicks off a special feature looking into the ancient Egypt boom hitting SEGA Saturn software. It seems there's been a wave of games with an Egyptian theme recently, and the magazine is wondering about the reasons behind it, asking, what is the truth? The article mentions that there's been a noticeable trend in Saturn games featuring ancient Egypt and that various genres are incorporating this theme, such as shooting and adventure games. The feature seems to be investigating why this is happening, suggesting it might be more than just a trend. The page shows screenshots from what appears to be a 3D adventure game, a cute RPG-style game, and a side-scrolling action title, all seemingly related to ancient Egypt. The feature promises to delve into the ancient Egypt game phenomenon over the next 8 pages. It seems like the magazine is intrigued by this trend and wants to explore it in detail. This page continues the special feature on the ancient Egypt trend in SEGA Saturn games, now presented as Ancient Egypt Travel 6 Selections. The feature explores this theme further, suggesting it's like a journey into the world of ancient Egypt through games. One section is titled Touching the Atmosphere of Ancient Ruins, and discusses how games capture the atmosphere of ancient Egyptian locations. It talks about the detailed stage backgrounds and level design that evoke a sense of realism and immersion, allowing players to experience the air of these historical sites within the game world. Games are using detailed field design to recreate the atmosphere of real locations. Another section highlights the more fantastical side of ancient Egypt in games, titled Aliens Built the Civilization! Here the game Egypt 1999 Pharaoh's Revival is featured. It mentions the game's premise that the Great Pyramid of Giza was built by aliens, and that powerful psychic aliens called Rameses existed in ancient Egypt and are now returning to Earth in 1999. The game is described as a 3D action game set in Egypt in 1999, where the player confronts aliens. Finally, there's a segment called Egypt Master File 1, which seems to offer historical context about ancient Egypt, discussing its civilization from around 5000 BC, touching upon topics like the Nile River, hieroglyphs, and the influence of various periods like the Roman and Islamic eras on the region, suggesting a deeper dive into the historical background that inspires these games. Video games frequently feature ancient Egypt, with Ramesses II, Architecture King, a popular figure due to his long life, prolific building, and military achievements, particularly the Battle of Kadesh. Early games, like Pyramid, started incorporating Egyptian themes in 1979. Later games such as Cleopatra Mystery and Anakaris evolved, utilizing more Egyptian characters and stages. Recent titles even include subtle influences. Developers aim for realistic pyramid depictions and detailed environments to capture the atmosphere of ancient ruins. The article also discusses the presence of deities like Set and Serket, often used as antagonists. Finally, a chronological table provides a historical overview of ancient Egypt from 5000 BC to 30 BC, detailing key periods, events, and rulers. This page delves into the captivating world of ancient civilizations, highlighting the game Tomb Raider for the SEGA Saturn. The page advertises Tomb Raider at a price of 5,800 yen, emphasizing its focus on exploring world ruins with Lara Croft, its 3D action, and free camera angles reminiscent of Hollywood movies. The article discusses the game's concept of exploring mysterious ancient ruins across Inca, Greek, Roman, and Egyptian settings. It hints at the secrets hidden within these ruins, a legendary island, and messages from ancient civilizations meant for modern people. A section titled, "Everything is Worth Seeing," spotlights the Egypt stages in Tomb Raider, noting there are 3 in total. It mentions enemies such as winged monsters, blood-soaked centaurs, and caged skeletons within grand structures like sphinxes and obelisks. The beauty of hieroglyphs and frescoes is also emphasized, with the reviewer expressing amazement at the detailed Egypt stages and the thrilling encounters with mummies and large sphinxes. Finally, the Egypt Master File 2 section explores the ancient Egypt boom, linking it to video games and mentioning the popularity of books like Graham Hancock's Fingerprints of the Gods and Robert Bauval's Keeper of Genesis, suggesting a connection between these themes and the game's ancient mysteries. Book covers of the Japanese versions of these books are also displayed, reinforcing the Egyptomania of the time. 2 game bundles centered on ancient Egypt are being promoted. The Cleopatra Raku Raku Pack for 5,800 yen features Taito's puzzle game, Cleopatra Fortune, set in Ptolemaic Egypt, with a Cleopatra transformation feature and a new Saturn mode. Players solve puzzles to save Cleopatra and collect treasures. The second bundle, Treasure Scavenger Campaign, Secret Realm Horror Tour, also priced at 5,800 yen, includes Konami's Henry Explorers, an action-adventure game where an archaeologist, Henry, explores ancient ruins. The game has 6 stages, with 2 focusing on an Egyptian motif, emphasizing a horror atmosphere, particularly in Act 2, featuring mummies and giant masks. The promotion also recommends books for further exploration of ancient Egypt. These include Explosive Laugh Egypt Mythology and King's Coffin, alongside the historical fiction Sun King Ramses and the manga Royal Crest. This page showcases 2 games with an ancient theme, continuing the Egyptian theme from the previous page's game bundles. First up is Civilization, advertised as a grand 6,000-year journey of civilization development, priced at 5,800 yen. It's described as a simulation game where players guide a civilization from 4000 BC to add 2100, developing technology and expanding their empire. The reviewer notes, it's fun to play as a leader like Ramses, and even build pyramids within the game. The second game is Dragon Master Silk, costing 6,800 yen. This is presented as an 18-day adventure with 4 big-eyed girls accompanying you to conquer a demon lord's world. It's a 3D dungeon RPG ported from PC, boasting new systems and gameplay. The game's dungeons include pyramids, and there's an area called Evil Cemetery. The reviewer comments on the casual Egyptian feel, noting the monsters and atmosphere capture a lighthearted take on Egypt. Below the game sections is Egypt Master File 4, which surprisingly shifts to real-world Egypt travel tips. It covers practical information like flight durations to Egypt, must-see locations such as the Giza Pyramids, Luxors, and Alexandria. It also advises on the best travel times, typical Egyptian weather, and safety precautions for tourists. The section even includes contact details for travel agencies and the Egyptian embassy, and shows a picture of a hotel by the Nile, making it quite a comprehensive mini-guide for anyone thinking of visiting Egypt. Professor Yoshimura Sakuji, an Egyptologist from Waseda University, discusses ancient Egypt and its link to video games, especially regarding the end-of-the-century theme. His interest in Egypt stems from a desire to uncover hidden mysteries, mirroring his decades-long archaeological work, including tomb surveys and restorations since 1966. He associates the theme with anxieties about the unknown future. He believes the genuine historical and archaeological value of Egypt is the true appeal, despite its association with mystery. He suggests that games should be enjoyable and easy to understand, emphasizing accurate historical information conveyed in an engaging manner. He encourages game creators to thoroughly research their subjects, including playing their own games, to ensure quality and enjoyment. Professor Yoshimura Sakuji, an Egyptologist, encourages everyone to visit Egypt. He views games incorporating supernatural elements separately from historical research, emphasizing the importance of authentic data and experiencing the truth over sensationalism. He directed the SEGA Saturn game, Ankh 2, a sequel to Ankh, where players explore the mysteries of Tutankhamun. Yoshimura hopes for a series of up to 10 Ankh games. He encourages game creators to research and experience the real Egypt, believing it enhances the virtual experience. The text then discusses the ancient Egyptian concept of revival and rebirth, their unique perspective on life and death, symbolized by cyclical events. Finally, a screenshot from the fighting game, Ramses II, illustrates the use of Egyptian themes in games. Dream Access, a reader corner in SEGA Saturn magazine, opens with an apology for the author's recent inactivity. Games this week highlights a reader's purchase of Shining the Holy Ark, prioritizing it over studying. Recent, lately, explores philosophical ideas, referencing Enemy Zero and Eve Burst Error. Enemy Zero receives significant attention, with readers sharing frightening experiences, immersive gameplay, and the game's appeal to a wide audience. Red Comet-san features a fan drawing and commentary referencing Masaru-san and Gundam. The weekly section anticipates the magazine's shift to weekly publication. Finally, a reader discusses Sega Neptune and their Saturn V, pondering hardware damage and game compatibility. This section from the Users Conference 97 forum features reader feedback on the Sega Saturn. One reader desires a fairer system for obtaining limited edition software, suggesting a lottery instead of the current first-come, first-served method. Another wishes for a better platform, like a flea market, to buy and sell used games, as existing ones are not very active. The page also highlights the February 28th issue's focus on the Saturn's appeal to core gamers, mentioning Mr. Hirokawa, a Sega fan, and features humorous manga panels. Finally, a Virtua Day section showcases reader-submitted game ideas based on Virtua Fighter. These include Virtua Tea Ceremony Steaming, Virtua Daughter Visit, and a rhythm game called Virtua Sleepiness, all of which are quirky and fun concepts. This page features a couple of heartwarming reader stories under the title, Two Stories of Kindness. The first one is about a person who bought a broken Saturn and was pleasantly surprised when the repair shop fixed it for free. The second story is about a kind older brother who, when buying Sakura Wars, also bought a copy for his younger sibling without being asked. On the right side, there's the Purikura collection, showcasing reader-submitted photo booth pictures. These are fun snaps of people seemingly enjoying themselves and referencing games like Independence Day and a group outing to an AOU show and a late-night hangout. Below that, this week's prize shows Sailor Saturn merchandise, specifically a standee figure, as the reward for reader submissions. Finally, at the bottom right, in the My Pride and Joy section, readers share their cherished gaming experiences. One person talks about their dedication to the strategy game, Advanced Daidasugi Duel. I believe that's what they are calling Advanced Great Strategy, although the actual game title might be slightly different in English. Praising its depth and the developer's passion, they mention the SS, which is likely referring to the Saturn version and its challenging gameplay. Another reader describes how they were deeply moved by the story of X-Girl, calling it a genuine mystery game that explores human emotions and has resonated with them deeply, even moving them to tears. Dream Museum showcases reader-submitted art and messages related to Sega Saturn games. The site encourages artistic expression, emphasizing enjoyment over technical skills. This week's Best One features a suggestive Darkstalkers-inspired drawing by UCCHI. An honorable mention goes to Ranbu Daijin for a compelling monochrome illustration. Specific game sections include Dragon Knight, Tactics Ogre, DXIRD, and Baroque, with varying art styles. The site awards software gifts and accepts submissions via postcards, including address, name, and age. Illustrations should use tone, be in pencil or US zoomy style, and be uncolored. They welcome articles and manuscripts. They're also starting a Character Loss Rabaretta corner for love quotes, and are open to other ideas. The submission address is provided, and cartoon characters remind readers of deadlines. This page looks like a mail-order catalog from a store called Santa, offering a wide range of games and consoles. It's essentially a big price list for Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, Mega CD, Game Gear, and even some peripheral devices. For Saturn fans, they've got a massive selection of titles covering everything from RPGs like Dragon Force and Grandia, to action games like Virtua Fighter and Guardian Heroes, and even quirky titles like Doki Doki Pretty League. There's a huge number of games listed, showing just how many great titles were available on the Saturn. They also have a good selection for other Sega consoles, including Mega Drive classics like Sonic and Streets of Rage, Mega CD titles, and Game Gear games for handheld fans. It looks like they are catering to all Sega gamers, with a wide back catalog of games at various prices. The page also details how to order, accept payments via postal transfer, bank transfer, or cash on delivery, and provides their contact information for phone and fax orders. It's a comprehensive catalog for anyone looking to buy Sega games through mail order back in the day. This page is all about the music of Daytona USA Circuit Edition, specifically showcasing the lyrics for two songs from the game, Sons of Angels and The American Dream. It mentions that popular rock band Mr. Big's Eric Martin is the vocalist for these tracks. They're releasing a CD single with these songs, including karaoke versions and a medley of Daytona USA music. The page proudly proclaims these lyrics are revealed for the first time and are sure to satisfy fans. Alongside the song lyrics and a photo of Eric Martin, the page has smaller sections promoting various Sega services. There's the Sega Fax Club, described as a voice guide for accessing Sega information via fax, offering various menus for different types of content. Then there's Sega Joy Telephone, a service providing updated Sega information via pre-recorded phone messages, available in different regions. Sega Video Magazine is mentioned as a promotional video magazine available at stores, showcasing gameplay and the latest Sega news. Finally, Flash Sega Saturn is highlighted as magazine content with Volume 14 featuring puzzle games, Quo Vadis 2, and other titles. Jun Senaway of Sega Consumer Sound discusses game music, focusing on the creation of theme songs and incorporating fan feedback, including vocal track availability and space limitations. He hints at future news and seeks continued reader input. Following this, Sega Newsflash presents 3 short items. Minami Kaze enjoys anime and manga. Gamer Miki humorously seeks advice on transporting deer in a car. Newcomer gamer Nana, excited by the abundance of games, plans to review action and puzzle titles and mentions the Virtual Stick Pro. Finally, a postcard mega recruitment encourages reader submissions for the magazine with prize offerings. The review reflects disappointment with the recent National and World Virtua Fighter tournament, where South Korea surpassed expectations, defeating Japan. The reviewer was critical of the event's organization, citing sound issues and an unpolished host. However, they express excitement for upcoming Sega-approved 3-on-3 tournaments across Japan in March, hinting at potential future national competitions. A schedule of these events, spanning various locations like Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya, is provided. The Nagoya Carnegie Dome will host a special Virtua Fighter 300-person Kumite event on March 23rd. Other sections include Ikebukuro Sara's Virtua Clash Volume 34, a reader illustration gallery seeking submissions, especially CG artwork, and This Week's Yuge-kun, a column about Yuge-kun's interests and current habits, ending with a humorous question about his sleeping arrangements. The next page is an advertisement from Creative Human, a store selling Sega Saturn games and related merchandise. They are highlighting their extensive catalog of Saturn software and announcing a new membership drive. The top section shows their contact details and opening hours for phone and fax orders. Below that, they're advertising new game releases for March and games available for pre-order. Some of the highlighted titles include Evangelion 2nd, Mobile Suit, Gundam Gaiden 2-1, Victory Goal 97, and Advance World War. They also mention Dragon Master Silk and games like Greatest 997, Puzzle Bobble 3, Sentimental Graffiti First Window, Game Paradise, Graduation Cross World, Cyberbots, and King of Fighters 96, which is strangely written as King the Spirits 2. Also listed is Metal Slug as a bundle offer. On the left side, they list Special Saturn Software and Saturn Software, which seems to be just a very long list of games they sell, with prices. There are many titles mentioned, spanning genres from shooting games like Layer Section, Magic Knight Ray-Earth, Batsugun, and Dragon Force, to RPGs and adventure games. It looks like a very comprehensive list of Saturn games available at the store. Finally, in the bottom right, there's a big new member recruitment section promoting benefits like 5% off and free shipping for orders over 10,000 yen. They are encouraging people to join and order by phone or fax, stating it's very easy to become a member. This page is the SEGA Saturn Software Databank, a comprehensive list of games released for the console between November 1994 and February 1997. It's based on reader surveys from SEGA Saturn Magazine, offering insights into game popularity and quality at the time. The introduction explains that reader scores are an average from 3 reviewers, and an X mark denotes games for mature audiences. The data is presented in tables, listing games with their release dates, prices, genres, reader scores, and a talk score and response category. You can see a wide range of titles, including well-known games like Virtua Fighter 2, which scored very highly at 9.25, alongside games like Myst, War-Chan Connection, and EAV. There are also titles such as Gotha 2, Ismailia Warfare, Victory Goal, Puzzle Bobble, Breakthrough, Dina USA, and various Emit titles. Other notable games listed include Guardian Heroes, Magic Knight Ray-Earth, Street Fighter 02, X-Men Children of the Atom, King of Fighters 95, and NBA Jam Tournament Edition. This page essentially gives a snapshot of game rankings and reader opinions from that era of Sega Saturn gaming. This page continues the Sega Saturn Software Databank, diving into more game releases and reader opinions. It's packed with data on various titles, showing their genres, prices, and those all-important reader scores. You can see a mix of game types, from strategy and RPGs to action and puzzle games. Games like Cube Graphic, Defcon 5, and Deep Fear are listed. There's also titles like Slayers Royal 2, Galaxy Fight, Universal Warriors, Bubble Bobble 2, and Super Puzzle Fighter 2. The page appears to be further cataloging the extensive library of Sega Saturn games, and giving a snapshot of what players thought of them at the time. This page continues the Sega Saturn Game Databank, offering a massive list of titles and reader review scores. It's like a giant index of pretty much every game available on the system at this point, covering a wide range of genres. You can see everything from strategy games to action titles, puzzle games, and RPGs. Games like Territory Battle, Deep Fear, the survival horror title, and fighting games like Street Fighter 02 are in there. Classics like Virtua Fighter 2 and Panzer Dragoon also pop up. Looking at the scores, it seems like Saturn owners were generally pretty happy with the games on offer, most getting decent ratings from the readers of the magazine. It's a real snapshot of the Saturn software library and how players were reacting to it back then. This page continues the Sega Saturn Software Databank. It's densely packed with game titles and reader scores. There are a lot of games listed, going through various genres, including titles like Digital Dance Mix, Deep Fear, Street Racer Extra, and Fighters Megamix. It looks like they are still presenting game data, with titles, publishers, genres, prices, reader review scores, and some kind of check rating. The page is mostly tables of data, but you can see a few games highlighted with larger text. It seems like they are listing almost every Saturn game released up to this point in Japan. The reader scores are still generally positive, suggesting Saturn owners were enjoying their game library. There's a massive amount of titles, really showing off the breadth of software available for the Saturn. It's a great resource for seeing what games were popular with players back then. This page is a new software schedule, outlining upcoming game releases for the Saturn. It's organized by release month, starting with March and going through July, and even includes a section for unreleased titles. The schedule is presented in a table format, giving key details for each game such as the title, price, publisher, genre, and compatible accessories. Looking at March, some of the highlights include Neon Genesis, Evangelion Second Impression, Planet Joker, and Worms. April features games like Metal Slug, Puzzle Bobble 2X, Action Golf, and Command & Conquer. Moving into May, we see titles like The Unsolved and Groove on Fight. The unreleased section mentions King of Fighters 97 and Groove on Fight again, this time noting an extended RAM version. At the bottom, there's a handy guide explaining the genre abbreviations and controller compatibility, which is useful for understanding the game types and what peripherals they support. This page continues the new soft schedule, focusing on upcoming game releases. We're still looking at unreleased titles and getting a glimpse of what's coming for the Sega Saturn. There's a table layout again, listing games with their prices, publishers, genres, and controller support. Looking at the game titles, there are quite a few interesting ones. We see titles like Cat the Ripper 13th Person Detective, Fantastic Forum, Desire Backfire, Wizards Harmony 2, and Guilty Gear. Genres are varied as usual, including adventure, RPG, shooting, simulation, and action. Publishers mentioned include Sega, Atlas, Konami, Capcom, and many others. It seems like a lot of these titles are still in the unreleased category, indicating they are future releases. There's a mix of well-known publishers and some lesser-known ones, suggesting a diverse range of games are in development for the Saturn. The page is mostly just listings of game data, prices, and genres, and doesn't delve into deeper details or reviews of the games themselves. It's purely a schedule of upcoming software. This page is a reader survey postcard from the magazine. It's designed to gather feedback from readers. It starts with instructions on how to fill it out correctly and gives an example. The survey asks for typical demographic information like gender, age, and occupation. It then dives into Sega Saturn specific questions, such as how many Saturn games the reader owns and what magazines they read for game information. They're also asking for opinions on the current magazine issue, including the cover and specific articles, and even want to know what readers think about games from developer Chunsoft. The survey further investigates hardware and software purchase plans for the Saturn. There are also lists included on this page. Table 2 Hard List appears to be a list of Saturn hardware and accessories available. Table 3 Soft List is a massive list of Saturn games, showing the sheer volume of software available. It looks like a comprehensive way for the magazine to get to know its readership and understand their preferences when it comes to Sega Saturn games and the magazine itself. This page highlights Game Meets Advertisement Kaze Warp, a discussion about game advertising featuring Ino Kenji and Kawaguchi Junichiro. Images of both are present, alongside a screenshot from Enemy Zero, a game directed and written by Kenji Ino, with music by Michael Nyman, developed by Warp in Tokyo, Japan. The tagline, Laura, from You, a little overflows, is also present, possibly related to the game's atmosphere and the character Laura. The Enemy Zero logo, along with Available on Sega Saturn and the Sega Saturn logo, are prominently displayed. The discussion appears to center on the evolution of game advertising, particularly noting the slow adaptation in the industry. The participants' work is presented as a departure from typical game advertisements. This page continues the discussion with Kawaguchi Junichiro from Kaze, now focusing on the theme of stress and openness in their advertising approach. They discuss how traditional game advertising often feels forced and inauthentic. Kaze aims to create advertisements that convey their company's unique sensibility and values, rather than just pushing sales. Kawaguchi emphasizes the importance of making games that players will genuinely enjoy and want to buy, rather than relying solely on marketing hype. He mentions that Kaze handles their own direct marketing and values, creating high-quality products, taking pride in their work, and wanting to connect with players on a deeper level. Two games are highlighted at the bottom right, both titled Digital Pinball. Last Gladiators, released in June 1995, and Necronomicon, released in November 1996, both priced at 5,800 yen. This page features an interview with Kenji Ino, also known as Kenji Ino, the CEO of Warp. It looks like they are continuing the conversation about advertising in the games industry, and Ino is giving his perspective, which aligns with the idea of creating advertising that feels genuine, not forced. He talks about the importance of making games that people will actually want to buy because they are good, not just because of marketing hype. The page prominently features the game Enemy Zero, with its logo and some text in a colorful box at the top right. It seems like Eno is discussing how they approach advertising for their games, probably focusing on conveying the unique feel and style of Warp rather than typical marketing tactics. Down at the bottom, there's a section called 2 Warp Works to Know About, showcasing 2 games, D no Shokutaku, which we know internationally as D, released in July 1995 for 8,800 yen, categorized as an ADV game and published by Acclaim Japan. The other game is Enemy Zero, released in December 1996 for 6,800 yen, categorized as a MOV game. The page also includes a picture of Kenji Eno himself, looking quite serious but also friendly. It emphasizes his role as the representative director of Warp Company Limited. Overall, it seems to be diving into Warp's unique approach to game development and promotion, highlighting their focus on quality and genuine player connection. Millennium Empire's Rise and Fall is a World War II strategy game for the Sega Saturn, placing players in command of the German Army's Blitzkrieg tactics. The game features 64 stages based on historical battles with shifting victory conditions and a branching narrative path determined by player success. Players must gather intelligence, as exemplified by the Battle of Britain, to overcome challenges. The game utilizes established war simulation mechanics while concealing the specific conditions for scenario branching, adding an element of surprise. Inspired by the World Advanced Daizenryaku series, the game includes historically accurate details, such as Italian military equipment. Set to release on March 20th for 6,800 yen, it is a simulation game for up to 14 players. This page examines the Axis powers' military strength in Millennium Empire's Rise and Fall. It highlights the game's focus on the often overlooked contributions of Italy, Croatia, and Romania, rather than just the core Axis powers. Italy, led by Mussolini, is depicted with outdated weaponry, active in the Mediterranean but lacking major victories. Croatia primarily contributes air power. Romania, forced into the conflict, fought on the Eastern Front with surprisingly good morale and equipment despite losses. The page then previews 4 campaign scenarios. Operation Barbarossa focuses on capturing Soviet territory. Battle of Vyazma involves holding the line against a Soviet tank assault. Battle of the Southern Army Group stresses resource acquisition. Donetsk River Crossing challenges players to cross the river using strategic maneuvers. The reviewer expresses excitement for exploring these scenarios and the game's historical focus. Greatest 997 features a significantly enhanced edit mode, allowing players to deeply customize their baseball teams. This power-up feature goes beyond basic stat adjustments, enabling players to create teams from scratch. Users can customize team names, uniforms, and stadium settings. Key improvements include a keyword system defining player traits, with 80 keywords for pitchers and 90 for fielders, adding nuanced personality. Players can edit faces and body types, and even swap players with existing pros. Team data can be saved for battles. The text provides humorous examples of these keywords, showcasing the game's depth and fun. Pitcher keywords include stubborn curve and horizontal attitude, while fielder keywords include bugtooth and karate is black belt, illustrating the creative possibilities. This article provides a preview of the 1997 Japanese professional baseball season, covering all 12 teams across the Central and Pacific Leagues. In the Central League, the Yomiuri Giants are favored due to their hitting, while the Yakult Swallows also rely on their strong batting. The Chunichi Dragons aim for the championship after a home base shift. The Hiroshima Toyo Carp focus on home runs, and the Hanshin Tigers hope for improvement with new foreign players. The Yokohama Bay Stars bank on star pitcher Sasaki and hitting. In the Pacific League, the Oryx Blue Wave feature Ichiro and strong hitting. The Nippon Ham Fighters anticipate improvement, while the Seibu Lions remain strong despite changes. The Chiba Lotte Marines are focused on their pitching staff, and the Kintetsu Buffaloes face pitching concerns despite a refresh. Finally, the Fukuoka Daiei Hawks rely on their powerful hitters. Each team's prospects are summarized with a brief comment. Thoroughbred Classic Road for Sega Saturn offers a realistic horse racing simulation spanning the previous decade. The game boasts historical accuracy, allowing players to experience racing from 1988 onwards, including breeding, training, and competing against famous horses. Key features include a deep Nix system for breeding, a 4-player battle mode with additional variations, and full polygon graphics for realistic race scenes, recreating iconic races like the Japanese Derby. A hidden command, Re button on the Pedigree Imagination screen, assists players with the complex Nix system. The game allows players to raise a thoroughbred and experience the drama of the sport. This page showcases a roundtable discussion with the developers from Victor Soft and Progress, the team behind Thoroughbred Classic Road. They talk about the game development process, with mentions of the effort put into data creation and balancing the game. One developer jokes about struggling to beat Brian in the game, implying in-game AI opponents. They emphasize the depth in the Nix breeding system, and how it allows for a wide range of horse breeding possibilities. They discuss the game's appeal to both newcomers and experienced players, highlighting the strategic elements and replayability. The page also reveals some exciting hidden modes. There's a super secret mode, which includes super horse mode, where legendary horses from past generations appear. Mysterious back mode is also mentioned, possibly another bonus feature. The page hints at the Arima Memorial and Autumn GI challenges, suggesting in-game calendar events and races. Under super horse mode, there is a ranked list titled, "Who is the Strongest Horse?" featuring famous racehorses like Narrated Brian, Deep Impact, and others, with some stats and ratings. Mysterious back mode also features a list called Imaichi-kun General Election, possibly a popularity ranking related to in-game characters or horses. It mentions that in GI races, unexpected horses can win, suggesting a degree of randomness or surprise in the game's outcomes. This page is all about Uncharted Waters 2, a SEGA Saturn game where you set sail in the age of exploration. The page acts as a beginner's guide to get you started on your seafaring adventure, whether you aim to be a merchant or a pirate. First up, it talks about preparing your ship, highlighting that choosing the right vessel is key, especially if you're starting a new game. Then, it's about choosing your captain, emphasizing that they are crucial for navigating the seas. Next, you need to gather your crew. Watermen are essential to actually move your ship, and the game considers navigation, visibility, and armor as key crew skills. Finally, you need supplies, like food and water, which are crucial for long voyages and can be replenished in ports. The page then dives into trading, the path to riches it seems. It stresses the importance of gathering initial funds by walking around towns and talking to people. Once you have some capital, you can start trading in markets. The article advises checking market prices and specialities in different ports to make a profit. It gives an example of starting with 2 port trades, suggesting routes between Lisbon and Seville, buying rock salt, and selling ceramics to earn money. It encourages players to aim to become a trading king. There are screenshots demonstrating these points with in-game menus and character portraits, making it a helpful introduction to the game's mechanics for newcomers. This guide to Uncharted Waters 2 focuses on becoming a seasoned adventurer. Combat preparation is key. Equip weapons and upgrade your fleet for battles, and ensure watermen are in your crew. Use the surveillance command to find and engage enemies. Combat includes cannon battles, white ship battles, boarding focused, and melee battles. Seek out patrons for missions and rewards, as adventuring requires resources. In ports, gather information and upgrade equipment. Patrons offer clues to discover relics. Long voyages require managing supplies and basic navigation. Explore uncharted waters for hidden treasures, but be prepared for unexpected events and plan accordingly. Good luck! The next page showcases Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Kong Ming's biography, a simulation RPG. The headline emphasizes the deep strategic gameplay that can shake even heaven and earth, highlighting the brilliance of Kong Ming. It asks if players are overwhelmed by Zhuge Liang's divine strategies and profound judgment, suggesting a challenging and intellectually stimulating experience. The page mentions that one of the joys of the game is raising your favorite officers, who can improve through experience and even change classes. However, it also warns that officers can become unusable partway through the game. The developers recommend checking the original story and strengthening officers that can be used for a long time. The article details city exploration, stating that in cities, players advance the story, manage their country's resources by purchasing items and weapons, and handle diplomacy. Key locations within cities are outlined, such as the palace for meeting rulers, conference rooms for war and diplomacy meetings, meeting places for travelers and merchants, item shops, residences, taverns for gathering information, weapon shops with varying inventories, and city exits to travel to other locations. Seems cities are hubs for preparation and progression in the game. Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Kong Ming's biography, immerses players in the strategic battles of the classic novel. especially the iconic Battle of Red Cliffs. The game simulates historical settings and challenges, allowing players to experience Kong Ming's strategic genius. Facing Cao Cao's forces, players can utilize traps, mystical elements like wind manipulation, and fire attacks, mirroring Zhao Yu's tactics. The game enhances the experience with CG scenes, featuring legendary commanders like Cao Cao and Liu Bei. Furthermore, player choices matter, potentially altering historical outcomes, such as failing to capture Cao Cao. This blend of historical accuracy and player agency offers a dynamic and dramatic gameplay experience within the iconic scenario. The next page dives into strategy tips for the game Grand Red. It presents two distinct battle tactics. The first, charge, frontal operation, is described as a direct assault strategy, plunging your units straight into the enemy lines. It emphasizes forming small groups, deploying search units, and utilizing recovery units in the rear. When enemies are spotted, the tactic is to encircle and eliminate them swiftly, suggesting a fast-paced, aggressive approach. The second strategy, search and secure operation, is more cautious and methodical. It involves positioning search units at the forefront to scout for enemies in a wide area. This strategy focuses on detecting enemies early and engaging them in a controlled manner, emphasizing the use of search units for surveillance and gradual advancement. The screenshots illustrate these tactics visually on a hexagonal grid battlefield. An event report section details a mission where, after a battle with the enemy, rescue signals are received. Despite initial hesitation, the player prioritizes human life and chooses to rescue the survivors. This leads to capturing 3 enemy soldiers, including characters named Fall, Ikramenas, and Leafy. The rescue signal section further hints at communication challenges and the decision to detain these captured individuals. The page concludes by highlighting the game's completion degree at 90%, and a comment from the maker, expressing that the core appeal of war games lies in commanding your own troops and devising strategies to achieve victory. They aim to create a simulation where players can deeply enjoy these strategic elements. This page, Chapter 4, is titled Tiger Hole Operation 2 Earthstar Territory Breakthrough, and continues the Grand Red Strategy Guide. It outlines 2 tactics: strong breakthrough operation, a likely aggressive approach, and positive movement operation, suggesting a more careful and methodical strategy. A key notice point highlights the importance of gravity in this scenario, influencing unit movement and combat. Reinforcing this, the important section stresses, pay attention to gravity. The event report section, titled Thoughts Towards Comrades, appears to continue the narrative thread from the last page, focusing on character relationships and perhaps the consequences of capturing enemy soldiers. Screenshots showcase the hexagonal grid-based gameplay. Overall, the page emphasizes the strategic elements of Grand Red, particularly considering environmental factors like gravity and the narrative aspects of the game. This page is all about the explosive action of Metal Slug. It's described as an action shooting game where you control soldiers navigating battlefields. The page focuses on basic controls and techniques for new players. It highlights the importance of mastering soldier movement, explaining that a button is for grenades, B for jump, and C for shooting. The 8-directional control pad is key for movement, allowing you to move forwards and backwards effectively in combat. There's a section on power-up items, which can be obtained by rescuing prisoners of war. These rescued prisoners provide various items that are very useful, and it's emphasized that collecting these items is crucial for progressing through the stages and surviving. Finally, there's a section explaining how to use the Metal Slug tank. It mentions that while slower than moving on foot, the tank greatly increases attack power and defense. It stresses the importance of using the tank effectively in battles, especially against bosses. The screenshots show gameplay with soldiers and the Metal Slug in action. The page emphasizes the fast-paced, comical action and encourages players to master the controls to survive the battlefield. This page continues the focus on Metal Slug, diving deeper into combat techniques and enemy types. It starts by explaining lever and attack combinations, highlighting directional inputs for shooting. You can shoot left and right, upwards, downwards, and even diagonally while crouching, opening up various attack angles. It then describes using the heavy machine gun to shoot at 45-degree angles upwards to hit enemies ahead and above, suggesting this is a powerful technique. The page moves on to Zako, or fodder enemy movements, and how to recognize them for effective combat. It breaks down several enemy types, Foot soldiers are basic and easily defeated with knives. Grenade throwers use grenades. Shield soldiers use shields and require flanking attacks. Aircraft drop bombs from above. Bazooka soldiers use powerful bazookas requiring quick reactions. Parachute troops arrive from above, and ships appear later in stages and are quite tough, needing jump attacks while crouching to hit. The page emphasizes learning these enemy types and their behaviors to improve your gameplay and survive. This page highlights Pacific Storm 2, a simulation game for the Saturn set during the Pacific War. It's described as a game where players will experience another Pacific War. The game focuses on strategic battles for key locations in the Pacific, emphasizing naval combat and resource acquisition in World War II. The article details the setting of the game, placing players in control of Japan against the U.S. and Allied forces. A key gameplay element is securing resources to achieve victory, with the game simulating the historical resource limitations faced by Japan. It mentions that the game focuses on the naval aspect of the Pacific War, and players must consider strategic island locations. There's a section dedicated to Forgotten Truck Islands, described as a former major Japanese naval base, and a key strategic point in the game. The page also features information on units, showing details for aircraft like the FD Phantom and Purple Lightning, listing their attack, defense, resource cost, and production values. A completion percentage of 80% is displayed, along with a comment from the development team stating they are working hard on the war simulation aspects and asking players to wait a little longer for the final release. The release date is mentioned as March 28th, with a premium box edition priced at 7,800 yen. This page continues to detail Pacific Storm 2. It breaks down the command functionalities in the game, highlighting key aspects for players to understand. The page explains 4 main command types. Order command for issuing instructions to units and managing core game aspects. Expansion command for viewing the overall map and gathering detailed information on various Pacific regions. Weather command to monitor the Pacific-wide weather conditions, crucial for naval and air operations. And movement command for strategic unit deployment and intel gathering. The page emphasizes that mastering carrier-based air power is key to victory, focusing on the immense offensive and mobile capabilities of aircraft carriers. It mentions that carrier air groups are vital for a range of missions, from naval engagements to ground strikes, offering flexibility beyond land-based air units. There's a section discussing the necessary components for carrier mobile units, including aircraft, escort ships, and resource management, stressing that proper organization and fleet composition are critical for effective carrier operations in the game. The page also shows details of a war situation display, depicting unit stats like Iriko and Akagi carriers, with their fuel, ammo, and aircraft capacity. It mentions the game uses turn-based mechanics, with each turn lasting 3 days, and advises caution during night battles and fleet movements. Finally, it touches upon the game's ending, noting multiple victory levels related to securing Japanese territory and maritime dominance, suggesting deeper strategic depth to achieve true victory beyond simple conquest. This page highlights the game Advanced Variable Geo. It focuses on gameplay strategies for normal mode using 2 characters, Yuka Takeuchi and Eren Yuki. The page details essential command moves for Yuka, including Demon Roar Bullet, Demon Roar Thrust, Blue Dragon Thrust, and Blue Dragon Heaven Kick, describing her playstyle as orthodox and effective at both close and long-range combat, excelling in air-to-air and ground-to-air attacks. For Eren, the page showcases her Eren Mach Punch, which is fast and powerful, noting it as her basic pattern. It also lists special moves like Eren Brain Punch, Eren Fire, Eren Chop, and Eren Triple Kick. The page mentions Eren's gameplay revolves around rush attacks and utilizing the Mach Punch pattern effectively. The page offers matchup advice, such as against Masuda Chi, recommending guarding against her flying projectiles and aerial attacks, and against Meiki Shina, suggesting to use Eren's Heaven Kick pattern for consistent jumping attacks, and to be cautious of throws and grappling. It also discusses strategies when playing as Eren against Yutuka, advising using jumping attacks and Brain Punch, and being mindful of Yutuka's long reach. Overall, the page serves as a mini-guide for players to understand the basics of playing with Yuka and Eren in Advanced Variable Geo, offering move lists and basic strategic advice for certain matchups. This page is all about the Sega Saturn game Farland Story, Hakana no Mai, which is part of the long-running Farland series. The page is essentially a guide to getting started in the game, particularly focusing on Map 2. It highlights key gameplay elements for Saturn users who might be new to the series. The article breaks down the gameplay flow into stages: First, you need to overcome pursuers from the Empire, as Map 2 is the main stage featuring the protagonist Valicana. Next, it mentions the appearance of tough, armored knight enemies, advising players to weaken Serena and stock up on recovery items from the Map 1 shop. The guide points out encounters with large numbers of enemies appearing in waves, including strong knights at the back, urging players to take them down methodically. Finally, it leads to the boss battle, which is the clear condition for the map, noting the boss is stationary. It suggests preparing your party and items before engaging. The page also emphasizes checking enemy mobility before battles and using ranged attacks against highly mobile foes. It showcases new features exclusive to the Saturn version. Wide-range magic allowing you to hit multiple enemies at once for efficient combat, and a mercenary system where you can hire unique units with special abilities from shops to bolster your forces. These mercenaries add a strategic layer to battles, as they each have distinct skills to utilize. Graduation Crossworld on SEGA Saturn is an adventure game focused on character interaction and dream fulfillment. Players take on the role of a new graduate, spending his summer vacation working at his father's store. The game allows players to interact with characters from the Graduation series, navigating multi-scenario and multi-ending gameplay. The Saturn version, billed as the Ultimate Edition, includes added endings, voice drama recordings, and data collection features, promising happy endings and interactions with numerous girls. Two original characters, Nishikawa Mami and Yokoyama Megumi, are introduced. The Saturn version specifically adds 5 sub-heroine endings, expanding the number of heroines to 12. The game is fully voiced and offers strategic gameplay. A bonus, original voice drama CD is also available. This page is focused on the SEGA Saturn game Graduation Crossworld, and dives into the romantic story set in Yokohama. It explains that the game revolves around the protagonist encountering girls in various locations throughout Yokohama, including Sakuragicho, Yamashitacho, Motomachi, Sakaicho, and Honmoku Bay Bridge. These are highlighted as key spots where players can meet the game's characters. The page emphasizes the 12 characters and happy endings feature, showcasing screenshots depicting encounters, dates, confessions, and special events with the heroines. It seems the core gameplay involves navigating these interactions to achieve happy endings with these characters. It looks like the Saturn version is pushing the idea of aiming for these happy endings as a central element of the game experience. Planet Joker details the Alien Crash game, presented as a top-secret report from the Autonomous Defense Special Forces 17th Platoon. The game, complete and priced at 5,800 yen, is a shooting game compatible with specific peripherals. The report outlines 4 missions taking place on May 18th and 19th, led by 23-year-old Satomi Takayama. Mission briefings are delivered by communications operator Mika Yamato. Players, guided by Mika, advance through industrial areas, poolbag areas, and confront large mobile weapons. Key members introduced include Elon Rockwell and Sarah Yuga. The final mission involves infiltrating Shinjuku to destroy Mecha, with the platoon connecting with a Joker project figure, Jim Markwell. The report concludes with questions about the team's success and hints at a deeper narrative involving an unknown man, suggesting a larger story beyond the gameplay. God Weapon Fist is a finished fighting game set for release on March 20th for 5,800 yen. The game emphasizes the destructive Super God Fist technique and features the Heavenly Calamity system, air combos, and aerial combat. Players can gain an advantage by triggering Heavenly Calamity phenomena by accumulating a gauge. The Super God Fist technique can be unleashed under specific conditions, such as a maxed gauge or low health with Heavenly Calamity items. 8 playable characters, each with unique fighting styles, are featured. Susanoo, Great Sage equal to Heaven, Benzaiten, Chi-Chi and Nene, Igrit, Shutendoji, Shina, and Sai no Kami. The game teases 3 boss characters, Behemoth, Iris, and Lucifer, hinting at their potential inclusion in a future version. This page promotes the game Tambourine Seiyuu, a voice acting director simulation game where you work with voice actors to create anime. The page highlights that they are currently recruiting players to become voice acting directors in the game. It emphasizes the experience of working with voice actors, showing images of a recording studio and voice actors at work. The game is described as being 100% complete and was set to release on March 20th for 5,800 yen. A quote from the maker mentions the unique experience of directing voice actors and invites players to try it. The page details the gameplay loop where you, as the director, guide voice actors, give instructions, conduct test recordings, and aim for perfect final recordings. Screenshots show in-game interfaces related to directing voice actors and scheduling studio time, emphasizing the need for careful management and consideration. It mentions rookie voice actress Hobana Hayashiba and her role in Interlope Girl, the anime project within the game. Finally, the page introduces enjoyable minigames that unlock after completing the main game. These minigames include Paper Sumo, Heaven Quiz, Hell Quiz, Role Allocation, and Serif games, designed to further immerse players in the world of voice acting and interacting with voice actors in a lighthearted way. The promo video for Interlope Girl is also announced as being complete. This page is a guide for SEGA Saturn games, specifically focusing on Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden 2-1, The Judgment, which is likely known as Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, The Blue Destiny, in international releases. This complete guide seems to be diving deep into the game, promising to provide the final strategies and in-depth stage-by-stage walkthroughs. The large image of the Gundam on the page is definitely connected to this game guide. It looks like page 108 continues with more information about Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, The Blue Destiny. This page delves deeper into Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1, To the End of the Galaxy, and explains how to achieve different endings. Apparently, there are 5 unique endings in this Gundam side story, and it seems the guide clarifies that no single ending is considered definitively correct. Rather, some are just better than others. To get the best ending, you need to aim for an A rank in every battle. The page breaks down how your overall performance determines your ending. It seems to use a point system based on your stage ratings, where an A is worth 5 points, down to an E being 1 point. These points then tally up to give you a final overall grade from A to E, which dictates your ending. Then the guide moves on to battle tactics, starting with shot and run, emphasizing the basic strategy of shooting while moving to avoid damage. It also highlights using the saber for close combat, encouraging players to get in close and strike. There's a section on dash cancel, a new feature that lets you use a capture function by canceling a dash, which they say is very useful. Finally, it touches upon situations where backdashing might not be effective, like when you're near obstacles or facing slower, larger enemies, suggesting side dashing as an alternative, particularly in later stages. This page continues the strategy guide for Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1, To the End of the Galaxy, focusing on the exam retrieval operation mission. The page details how to clear this mission effectively, emphasizing the importance of destroying enemy gun emplacements first if they are spotted on radar, and to coordinate with allied GIM units during combat. The page presents data for several mobile suits: the RG-M79 GIM, MS-06 Zaku, and RX-79 BD3, Blue Destiny Unit 3. These include stats for movement, dash, jump, and attack power using various weapons. There's also a breakdown of the overall battle strength calculation, which considers battle points, stage clear bonus, and a penalty based on damage taken. Clear bonuses are awarded for completing stages, with higher bonuses for later stages and harder difficulties. The guide highlights the different types of Zakus encountered in this stage, noting that bazooka-type Zakus are more of a threat than machine gun types due to their one-shot hit power. It recommends prioritizing bazooka Zakus and using jump evasions against machine gun Zakus. Finally, it mentions a target rank of normal and a damage taken rate of 30% or less to achieve an A rank on hard difficulty. It also notes that destroying all 9 enemy units by yourself and keeping damage low are key factors for a high score. There's a bonus of 5,000 points awarded if allied GIM units are destroyed by enemies during the mission. Stage 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2, Blue Destiny, Pursuit Overture, focuses on defeating DOM mobile suits. The guide details DOM stats across difficulties and provides combat tactics, like rotational reading for evasion and servo saber use at mid-range. Stage breakdown includes eliminating Zakus, engaging DOMs at deployment, and using hit-and-run tactics against late-stage DOMs. Achieving a good rank is recommended, with a warning about the final DOM's difficulty and the importance of facility destruction beforehand. Stage 3, Space Colony, introduces a map with checkpoints. Checkpoint 2 highlights bazooka and old Zaku combinations, recommending bazooka Zakus first. The guide suggests luring Zaku 2s to a large open area, targeting weak points, and using side dashes to defeat them individually. Stage 4 of Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2, Blue Destiny, focuses on the truth of exam and presents a significant challenge. Players face fast and coordinated high-mobility Zakus and Gelgug, making long-range attacks crucial. Beware of hand grenades and use your Vulcan cannon to destroy facilities, weakening enemy suits. The guide recommends hard difficulty, advising against attempting a rank on normal for better rewards. Specific checkpoint tips include strategies for old Zakus at checkpoint 3, emphasizing side and back dashes to counter their jumping attacks. Checkpoint 4 involves defending a pillar from Bazooka Zaku and Zaku commander types, recommending missile and full burst attacks. The guide also includes detailed stat comparisons across easy, normal, and hard difficulties for various mobile suits. Mastering attack breaks and Battle 2 tactics is key to success on hard mode. This page details the strategy for Stage 5 of Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2, Blue Destiny, titled Executioner, where you face the RX-79BD Blue Destiny Unit 2. The guide emphasizes a beam rifle start, beam rifle finish approach, suggesting the beam rifle as your primary weapon throughout the fight. The page breaks down the AI algorithm of Unit 2, noting it initially closes in, uses beam saber at close range, and switches to beam rifle at mid-range. It provides a step-by-step strategy to counter this. Firstly, gain the upper hand with 12 beam rifle shots at the start. For mid-range combat, change your elevation and aim for the center, using dashes for movement. A key technique highlighted is rotational reading, which is about anticipating the enemy's movements and adjusting your aim using the L and R buttons. Be mindful of ball units that may appear. A caution section warns about chest missiles that Unit 2 uses when wielding its beam saber, as it cannot use the rifle during this time. The score counter can be used as a visual aid to judge the damage you're inflicting on Unit 2. Hard difficulty is recommended for a challenging experience, while normal is suggested for a more relaxed playthrough. The page includes a stat table for the Blue Destiny Unit 2 across different difficulty levels, and a stat block for the RB-79 ball. This page announces a special treat for fans of Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1, The War for Earth, and owners of Side Story 1 and 2 Save Data. The legendary RX-782 Gundam is making an appearance in a simulator mode. To unlock this, you need to either clear Side Story 2I and achieve all A ranks, or have save data from Side Story I and 2 and then clear Side Story 2I. Once unlocked, you can experience a special simulator battle against the RX-782 Gundam, piloted by Amuro Ray himself, testing your skills against the legendary White Devil. The page details that in this simulator, the RX-782 Gundam is incredibly powerful, with top-tier speed and attack stats. While its armor might be slightly lower than the Blue Destiny units you've been facing, its beam rifle can fire 4 shots simultaneously, and it is extremely agile, making it a formidable opponent. A key piece of advice is that the Gundam doesn't have chest missiles and prioritizes its beam saber at close range. Also, the battle area is a loop, so you can theoretically escape if needed, but that would be considered a loss. The page warns that the RX-782 is susceptible to exam system interference, just like the Blue Destiny units, which might be your only real advantage. It's emphasized to be cautious during exam activation, as it's your best chance for victory, but also a moment of high risk. This page is reporting live from the AOU show, checking out all the new arcade games from SEGA, and if they might be coming to the Saturn. They're highlighting 2 games in particular. First up is Virtua Striker 2, a 1-to-2 player soccer game using the Model 3 board, expected in spring. However, they reckon the chances of a Saturn port are pretty slim, only 3%. Then there's Scud Race Twin, a racing game also on Model 3, which can handle up to 8 players. The single-player version is already doing well in arcades, and they think this one has a much higher chance of hitting the Saturn, like 80%. The page also talks about the prize game scene at the AOU show, noting that prize machines like Purakura are still popular, and Sega are bringing out new prize games too. They've got comments from people in the know about the Saturn port possibilities for both games. This page is still at the AOU show, and now they are checking out even more upcoming arcade games from Sega that might make their way to the Saturn. First up is The House of the Dead, a gun shooting game for 1-to-2 players using the Model 2 board, expected to arrive in arcades in March. The reviewer seems really impressed, saying it's amazing and like a horror movie. They mention the branching paths and reckon it's got great home console potential, giving it a strong 70% chance of a Saturn port. Next, they look at Top Skater, a skateboarding experience game also on Model 2 but for one player. It uses a skateboard-like cabinet and features music from Pennywise. The reviewer is hyped about the full-body immersion and calls it hot-blooded. They are even more confident about a Saturn version for this one, giving it a 90% chance. Finally, they've got a quick AOU show check section looking at other games. There's Hockey Stadium, which is described as an exciting air hockey game, Linear Striker, which seems to be a soccer game, and they mention other prize game machines like a Home Run Derby and Frog Hopper style game, showing off all sorts of new arcade experiences at the show. The AOU show featured exciting arcade game reveals. Capcom's highlights included Street Fighter II, emphasizing strategic gameplay, 40% chance of Saturn port, and Vampire Savior, praised for its gothic visuals and new characters, 50% Saturn port chance. Street Fighter X Plus was teased, with a low likelihood of a Saturn port. Battle Circuit, a 14-player action game, also had a 50% port chance due to its fun factor. Sprink's impressive monitor setup was also highlighted. Quick AOU snippets mentioned the popular Band of Fighters, an electric shock stick prize game, and Shibatsu-chan. Konami's prize collection display, including various merchandise, was also showcased. The AOU show unveiled exciting arcade games. Konami's Tokimeki Memorial Oshiate Your Heart is a sensor-based romance sim with interactive gameplay driven by heart rate and perspiration. Bandai's Hang Pilot offers an immersive upper and lower screen sports experience. Operation Thunder Hurricane by Sammy is a 12-player gun shooting game. Namco's Tekken 3, the main attraction, boasts impressive animation and gameplay. Jaleco's Armadillo Racing is a fun trackball-controlled animal racing game. The show highlights a trend toward large ride cabinets, with Namco, SEGA, and others investing in elaborate designs. SEGA's Versus Connect system for linked battles and Namco's improved Versus Play monitor setups were also noted as positive developments. The article previews potential Saturn ports of several arcade games. Darius, a polygon-based shooter, and Magical Date Graduation Confession, Great Battle, a polygon romance adventure, are being considered. Train to Go, a train driving simulation, Arkanoid Returns, a block breaker, and the incredibly difficult vertical shooter Rage Loop, Dodonpachi, are also mentioned. This section discusses the likelihood of specific arcade games making it to Saturn. Samurai Spirits, Tenkaichi Kenkyakuden, and Real Bout Fatal Fury Special have a 50% chance. Nanero Dreams, Rainbow Colored Miracle Spot an 80% chance, and Columns 97 a mere 10%. Readers are encouraged to express their interest in these potential ports. This page previews potential SEGA Saturn arcade ports. Excitement surrounds Tecmo's Dead or Alive, a fighting game, with a 70% port likelihood. Soldier Blade, Ayakashi/Japan system, has a 47% chance, facing porting challenges. Jaleco offers over Rev Racing, with unknown port possibility and imminent completion, and versus Tante Uranai Senshutsutachi, Puzzle, also with unknown port status. Sammy Industrial's Mahjong Hyper Reaction 2, Mahjong, has a 50% chance, featuring anime girls and implied adult content. Confirmed port progress includes Virtua Fighter 3, 10%, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, 15%, Last Bronx, 15%, and Sonic the Fighters, 10%. SEGA is actively seeking fan input for the SEGA Ages series, aiming to revive classic titles. The project, supported by fan demand, has reached its 7th volume. A recent poll, Latest SEGA Ages Best 50 Requests, reveals high interest in titles like Power Drift, Galaxy Force, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Outrunners. The article also discusses the likelihood of certain games being ported. Sonic the Hedgehog has a 15% chance, Galaxy Force a 5% chance, and Fantasy Zone series a 7% chance. Power Drift is given a 10% chance due to the difficulty of recreating the original experience. SEGA encourages fans to submit game requests via postcard to their Tokyo address, emphasizing their commitment to bringing back the nostalgic feel of classic arcade games. This page celebrates Capcom's 10th anniversary and features reader opinions focused on Biohazard, which is Resident Evil in English. Readers are really enjoying the Saturn port of Resident Evil, and are asking about sequels like Resident Evil 2 and 3 coming to the Saturn. Capcom seems pleased with the fan response and mentions they are including original elements in the Saturn version. The page also highlights other Capcom games like Street Fighter 2, Darkstalkers 3, and the upcoming Street Fighter 2i. There's excitement about Street Fighter 2i, particularly about the character Ibuki and the large character roster. Capcom is running 2 present campaigns, one for colored gun sight targets, possibly for light gun games on Saturn, and another for a 9-book secret file set. Additionally, there's an ultra-limited edition present campaign, where 30 people can win a special ultra-limited edition item related to something called Bots and Devil Robot. This page reports from the 97.3 AOU Show Capcom Conference, showcasing the latest arcade titles. The event is buzzing with excitement for Capcom's new releases. First up is Vampire Savior, known as Darkstalkers 3 internationally, running on CP System 2. It features 4 new characters, round elimination, and new systems like Impact Damage Gauge and Dark Force. The game is creating quite a stir with fans eager to play, and journalists trying to get interviews with the producer, who seems to be getting swamped by the crowd. Moving on, we see other playable arcade games like Super Metal Fighters, Bomberman Mizupan Roulette, and Go Go Goma-chan, Jaka Jaka Jan Ken. These titles are also drawing attention at the show. There's a section about My Stamp, a popular stamp machine that was previously introduced. It seems to still be a hit with attendees. The page also highlights an advertising legend Michi, featuring a personality called Michi involved in advertising, and mentions the angel reason behind something, potentially the popularity or concept. Finally, the page shows some Capcom merchandise available as prizes, including original watches, vampire rubber key holders, and Paradise Combo notebooks. Overall, Capcom's presence at the AOU show is generating a lot of buzz and enthusiasm for their upcoming arcade games and merchandise. Capcom's Development Division General Manager, Mr. Okamoto, discusses their AOU show highlights. Cruisin' World, a driving game, is a key title, showcasing an illustration-style art. Street Fighter 2i, built on the new CP System 2i board, emphasizes new characters and upgraded graphics. The possibility of a Saturn port is raised. Cruisin' World features prominently, with a pin badge campaign at the show. Battle Circuit, a side-scrolling beat-em-up in its final development stages, focuses on fun gameplay. A pre-report section caters to those unable to attend the AOU show, highlighting the atmosphere and lineup. The article hypes Battle Circuit, touting its action and influence from games like Darkstalkers, and recommending it for Saturn fans. The AOU show report features photos of crowds and key industry figures. A 3 big heads photo showcases Capcom's Okamoto, Suzuki, and Nishitani. Street Fighter X Plus version is a reference exhibit with a playable demo, rewarding players with X elements. Interviews with Funamizu Noritaka, general producer, discuss Vampire Savior's 56% completion and gameplay refinement, along with his excitement for the event and seeing crowds for Gadarius. Iijima Tatsuya from the development department, also involved with Vampire Savior, shares his excitement about player reactions and the change in energy between industry and public days. The report highlights promotional items like magical pumpkin merchandise and autographed photos as prizes. The page concludes with information on upcoming events and encourages reader feedback. This page is packed with reader submissions and humorous content. It kicks off with Go with a Celebrity, where Meijin Takahashi is giving a tour of the Hudson building, promising to reveal secrets and explore underground areas. Pictures show inside a studio and video editing room. The This Week's Complaint Corner highlights reader feedback. The first one playfully questions the phrase, departure. All right. For a train, suggesting departure proceed makes more sense. Another complaint touches on the Ichigaya Lady Legend expression. The third complaint section mentions something smelling like advertising and shows a game called Sanetomo with Tokyo Curry Udon, along with its box art. In the This Week's Little Good Thing section, there's an anime-style girl image and mentions of Galaboy Boy and Mania, likely referencing otaku culture. There is also an advert for a Bomberman Selector AV cable accessory. Finally, Ichigaya Lady Legend features an interview with Maeda Ichi, who talks about her hobbies like basketball and her work in public relations. She answers questions about the Yuna Remix and Yuna 3 games, and shares her preferences for an ideal man, emphasizing intelligence and a liking for chocolate cornet. This page highlights Elf Games merchandise and fan interaction. Tama's Mutterings allows fans to submit questions about game inspiration, referencing Gate of Ordeals and Elf Princess Rain. An advertisement promotes a limited edition music box with Elf Princess Rain tunes, priced at 4,800 yen. Various Elf Special original telephone cards featuring artwork from multiple Elf games like Dragon Knight and Yugen are available, with ordering information provided. A section warns of mature content, hinting at adult themes in Legacy, also known as Yusaku. Finally, a giveaway offers legacy telephone cards to 3 entrants who submit a postcard with their opinions by March 20th. This page is titled, Welcome to Kadota Ami World, and it's the 5th installment of this section. It seems to be a 4-panel manga continuing from the Tama's Mutterings section discussed previously. The characters are talking about Tama's Mutterings and whether it is being ignored or thrown away. One panel shows a girl crying about Tama's Mutterings being ignored on TV. Another panel has characters discussing if Tama's Mutterings is interesting. The final panel advertises the next installment, teasing Ai-chan's Love Attack Tactics, and asking if the main character will be in a pinch. At the bottom there is a single-panel comic strip called One Panel Daily Tama, which seems to be a gag comic related to Tama and her mutterings, perhaps about cleaning up or tidying things away. This page announces, It's powerful! SEGA AM3 Research Rush, and introduces a new game from SEGA AM3 R&D Department Number 3 called Top Skater SEGA Skateboarding. They are excited to reveal this industry-first skateboard game, which uses a dedicated skateboard controller. The game allows players to ride a board attached to the cabinet, offering a truly immersive experience and challenging players with never-before-seen skateboard sensations. The page also highlights the music, featuring popular melodic punk band Pennywise for the game's background music, promising exciting and exhilarating gameplay. The screenshots show in-game action with trick names like FS Nose Slide and Ally McTwist 540 in scores, emphasizing the game's focus on technique and speed. The text encourages players to show off their best tricks in this innovative title. Top Skater promises a realistic skateboarding experience, mirroring real-life actions and gear. The game features 6 characters and authentic skate spots, with developers emphasizing the arcade version's feel. Players can perform flashy tricks on halfpipes and handrails, using approximately 150 techniques. The page also includes fan art submissions and interviews with the development team. The team discusses the game's progress, the Pennywise BGM, and location testing, calling Top Skater a super masterpiece game. They share anecdotes about late-night curry and express gratitude for fan support, ending with a message of appreciation. This page features an interview with the development team from AM3 discussing their game Virtualon, subtitled Crossover Volume 4. The main topic of conversation is the concept of flavor in game design. The interviewees, Yoshida and Ozaki, are introduced with their roles in AM3 and on the Virtualon project. They delve into the essence of what makes Virtualon unique, highlighting that the core concept wasn't just about basic game mechanics, but about capturing a specific flavor and atmosphere. Yoshida mentions the initial concept of Gundam being considered, but clarifies that Virtualon wasn't intended to be a direct imitation. They aimed for a different kind of flavor, while still acknowledging the influence of Gundam in terms of mecha design. They wanted to create a 3D battle game that resonated with players through its unique feel and immersive qualities, offering a sense of player agency and enjoyment, and emphasizing the importance of catering to player preferences and feedback during development. Ozaki also emphasizes the game being approachable and enjoyable, with room for player expression and skillful play. The discussion touches on how the team navigated the balance between appealing to a broader audience and maintaining the game's core identity and flavor. This page continues the interview with AM3 about Virtualon. The discussion revolves around the concept of flavor in games, particularly what makes Virtualon unique. Yoshida and Ozaki from AM3 elaborate on this idea, mentioning that while they drew inspiration from Gundam, they weren't aiming for a direct copy. Instead, they wanted to capture a distinct Virtualon flavor that resonated with players through its 3D battles and immersive feel. They highlight the importance of player agency and enjoyment, focusing on creating a game that's both approachable and allows for skillful play. The interview touches upon the balance between broad appeal and maintaining the core identity of Virtualan's flavor. There are also screenshots from Virtualan showing in-game action and menus. The text also mentions the concept of flavor being a kind of mosaic of various elements, and that Virtualan successfully captured a unique flavor and is still evolving. The interviewers are looking forward to seeing what new flavors Virtualan will bring in the future, and express high expectations for the game's continued development. This page unveils the Virtua Fighter 3 vocal CD, titled Virtua Fighter 3 on the Vocal. Set to release on March 26th, it's all about the game's background music being rearranged with vocals. The article features an interview with Suzuki Yu, who seems to be behind this vocal CD project. He explains that the idea came about when they were considering a CD release, and they aimed to create something different from typical game music. Suzuki mentions that they wanted a pop sound, but still wanted to retain the essence of Virtua Fighter 3. He even talks about how the character colors influence the vocal arrangements, which is quite interesting. The music style leans towards black contemporary rather than pure rock. He recommends listening to track number 1, Blaze Out, and believes the album gets better with each listen, appealing to both Virtua Fighter fans and general pop music lovers. The track list is split into original game tracks and the vocal versions. Original tracks include names like Blaze Out and Wild Blood, while vocal tracks include The Hall and Open the Dead Gate. It sounds like they've taken the familiar tunes from Virtua Fighter 3 and given them a whole new vocal spin, aiming to make them catchy and enjoyable. The page ends with a question about favorite songs for battles and a screenshot of Jackie, mentioning familiar songs being sung during fights. This page from AM2 Research and Information Bureau is all about Virtua Surf, revealing some insider info about the game and fan contributions. There's an interview with Yume, who is described as a networker at AM2. He answers questions about Virtua Surf, like how to perform low chain and high chain moves in Chinese characters. Apparently, you write them as and K. Someone asked about what's written on Pei Chan's headband in Virtua Fighter 1, and clarifies it's in VF1 and in VF2. He mentions they are aware of the no damage mode difficulty query, and that a TE course clear is around 500 plays, and Z course clear is around 100. In the AM2 Research Gallery section, they're showcasing fan art. We see fan submissions featuring characters like Akewe, Umenokoji, Jin, and others. The AM2 staff seem to be enjoying these fan submissions and giving compliments. One comment mentions Akari's illustration is nicely put together and powerful. Another praises Jin's illustration and mentions his work is always good. Another artwork seems to be related to Virtua Cop 2, showing a ranking event and someone cleared it with 12 bullets remaining. Another artwork features a lady in traditional clothing, and seems to be well received by the AM2 staff. Overall, it's a page that connects the developers with the players, and highlights the community aspect of AM2 games. This page is all about the Virtua Fighter 3 Maximum Battle Morinaga Engel Cup Tournament. It's a report from a large-scale Virtua Fighter 3 tournament held at Tokyo Joyopolis. The event is the Engel Cup, sponsored by Morinaga, and it seems to be a pretty big deal. The report highlights the under-20 class tournament section of the event. We can see a tournament bracket showing matches and character selections. It appears to be a single-elimination tournament. Some of the character matchups include familiar names like Lao, Akira, Sarah, Wolf, Lion, Kajimaru, and Jackie. The winner of the under-20 tournament is highlighted as Yanagasura, from the Kyushu First Area, who used Jackie as his character. He is ranked number 1 in Japan apparently. The report mentions his skillful use of Jackie's techniques and detailed attacks were key to his victory, along with his deep understanding of character matchups. There are also photos from the event, showing the crowd, players on stage, and the winner Yanagasura celebrating his victory. It sounds like it was an exciting tournament, emphasizing the competitive nature of Virtua Fighter 3. This page details more of the Virtua Fighter 3 Maximum Battle Morinaga Engel Cup Tournament at Tokyo Joyopolis, this time focusing on the Ladies Class Tournament and the Over 20 Class Tournament. For the Ladies Tournament, it mentions that even though female players were fewer in number, they were still very skilled and enthusiastic. The winner was Chan's sister, from the Tokai area, who used Pei and is ranked 2nd in Japan. She apparently won using Pei's character skillfully. The text also mentions that she was able to win against Jackie players, even in the semifinals and finals. Moving on to the Over 20 class tournament, this was for players 20 years and older, and it seems Kiasa husband took the victory using Cage. He's from the Tokyo 2nd area and ranked 3rd in Japan. The report highlights his strong fighting style and experience. It also mentions that he was able to win despite being in a tough spot in some matches. We can see tournament brackets for both categories showing the progression of matches and character choices, featuring names of participants and their chosen characters like Sarah, Jackie, Lion, Wolf, and Akira. There are also photos of the winners, Chan and Kara, proudly holding their winner banners and posing. The page conveys the excitement and competitive spirit of both tournaments, showcasing the talent in both the female and older player categories within the Virtua Fighter 3 scene. The document summarizes 2 Virtua Fighter Maximum Battle events. The first, Japan Ranking Decisive Battle, features a round-robin tournament with top Japanese players like Chan's sister and Kiasa husband. It culminates in a final fight bracket, highlighting matches with characters such as Lau, Jackie, and Cage, with Akira Kid as a prominent competitor using Akira. The second event, International Tournament, expands the competition globally, inviting representatives from various countries. A photo shows Akira Kid, representing Korea, holding trophies. The general review reflects on both events, noting their scale and hinting at a future 3-on-3 format. While acknowledging some negative feedback, the review praises elements like the Korean step technique and concludes that improvements are expected for future Maximum Battle events. This SEGA Saturn game review page covers Criticom, Manx TT Superbike, Riding Sheep is Good, and Proper Manx. Criticom, a futuristic combat game, received high praise for its 3D graphics, level-up system, and 12-player mode, achieving a 4/5 average. Manx TT Superbike, a motorbike racer, was lauded for its arcade feel, 3D graphics, and authentic courses, scoring 7.33 on average. Review groups praised the game's charm, visuals, and immersion. Riding Sheep is Good received a 9/10, celebrating its arcade-perfect conversion, speed, and controls. Finally, Proper Manx also earned a 9/10, commended for its faithful arcade port, controls, and extra features. 4 SEGA Saturn games are reviewed. Blast Chamber, an action puzzle game, receives mixed reviews, with female players and those valuing challenging gameplay scoring it higher than those preferring multiplayer. Worms, a strategy game, is praised for its depth despite a lack of localization. Advanced Variable Geo, a fighting game, is criticized for its lack of originality and depth. The final, unnamed fighting game, likely a PC port, appeals to fans of the PC version, or newcomers, with a focus on visuals and simple controls. This article reviews 4 upcoming SEGA Saturn games. Yushun Classic Road, a horse racing sim, receives positive feedback for its immersive detail and accessibility, with scores of 7 or 8 out of 10. J-League Victory Goal 97, a soccer game, is praised for its easy-to-learn controls and satisfying gameplay, earning scores of 8 and 9 out of 10. Night Ruth Voice Selection Radio Drama Edition is a radio drama experience lauded for its high-quality voice acting and sound. Finally, Shin O Ken, a Neo Geo port fighting game, is noted for its new combat features, challenging controls, and polished execution, aiming to satisfy fighting game fans. This Saturn Trick Technique Corner highlights game tips for March's upcoming software. Daytona USA Circuit Edition offers a hovercraft effect in arcade mode by holding left and R during the Gentleman Start Your Engine screen. Tomb Raider has a level skip password, Zyzex, usable after completing the game. Puyo Puyo Sun includes tips on character selection screen effects, waiting for secret colors, and unlocking carbuncle. Beat Mugwi mode without continues. The page encourages reader submissions with prizes like Saturn software and book vouchers, including Go Go Girl awards for top tricks, aiming to gather hidden game secrets. This page, titled Game and Art's Subtle Relationship from the Weekly Fuse Academy column, explores the idea of limitations and the potential for beauty in games. The article kicks off by questioning if multimedia in games is always better, reminiscing about the era of sound-only games where imagination filled the gaps, like comparing it to early telephone communication. The author, Dr. Fuse, reflects on playing Real Sound, a game series focusing solely on audio, realizing the beauty in visualist games and the power of imagination. In S. He mentions game creator Ino Kenji's enemyless game design, driven by sound, and sees this as an example of how limitations can lead to beauty. He even draws a parallel with London's post-punk music scene. The article then highlights the Sega Saturn game, Gege no Kitaro, Phantom Fuyu Kitan. Although it includes images and sounds, Drive Fuse emphasizes that the core is in the words and story. He praises the game's art style, but focuses on how the limitations in expression actually enhance the experience, creating a unique style and refined beauty, similar to traditional Japanese picture scrolls. He feels the game beautifully blends text and image, achieving a refined beauty that emerges from these constraints. Dr. Fuse's profile identifies him as a university professor, deeply interested in art, media, and philosophical themes. The next page seems to be showcasing some interesting books related to gaming culture. The main feature is a book called Otaku Amigos. It's by Okada Toshio, Tozawa Shinichi, and Nimuta Nao. And it's about the otaku subculture, described as a hot topic with 3 writers exploring the depths of otaku. It's positioned as shedding new light on Tandemo works and the joy of recycled culture, aiming for a paradigm shift through dangerous conversations. There's also a list of deluxe guest contributors, including mangaka like Ito Shinpei, Sorubon Keikei, and Terajima Raiko, illustrators like Kaide Hiroshi, and even film critics and SF writers like Takekuma Kentaro and Yamamoto Hirotaka. Moving on, there's a book called Dungeon Rhapsody by Sakata Yuko. This one seems to be a collection of columns that were originally featured in Super 64, which probably refers to the Nintendo 64. It includes comics and other fun content from a Game Freak manga artist's first ever column collection. Finally, there's Game Machine is Daisy Daisy no Uta Utauka by Kono Yumi, with illustrations by Mizutama Keinojo. This book seems to be based on columns from the Super Famicom, so we're talking Super Nintendo here. It's written by a novelist known for works set in Tokyo and the 12 Kingdoms, discussing retro games from both Japan and overseas. The illustrations are by Mizutama Keinojo. Both Dungeon Rhapsody and Game Machine is Daisy Daisy no Uta Utaka are priced at 1,000 yen. This page is all about reader giveaways from SEGA Saturn Magazine. They're presenting prizes to lucky readers. And there's a list of winners from the February 21st issue for various prizes. The giveaways themselves are quite appealing. 20 people can win their choice of any Sega Saturn game released up to February 28, 1997. For fans of Sakura Wars, 5 readers can win a 97 calendar. Puzzle game enthusiasts have a chance to win one of 3 magical drop puzzles. There are also 5 even burst error posters being given away, described as rare promotional items. A single lucky person will get a Capcom set filled with goods like pins and character merchandise. Finally, for movie and music lovers, 5 people can win the Star Trek First Contact soundtrack CD, timed with the movie's release in Japan on March 8th, and it even mentions interviews with the composers will be in the magazine. The page also has a list of staff members involved in the magazine's production, and at the bottom, there's an information section highlighting upcoming content, mentioning new game announcements and exciting developments on the Saturn, specifically teasing more Sakura Wars features and a Flower Group fighting column, likely related to Sakura Wars combat system. They announced the next issue will be released on March 14th, and provide a phone number for inquiries about the magazine's content. This page features the Sega Saturn game, Absolute Invincible Regino. It's presented as a climax shooting game where you'll conquer the galaxy with the Sora Yuki army. The page showcases the game's spaceship design prominently, and includes screenshots that clearly depict vertical scrolling shooter gameplay. It seems to be an exciting and action-packed space shooter for the Sega Saturn. This page showcases the upcoming Sega Saturn shoot-'em-up game from Raisinizing, emphasizing its arcade-perfect or complete port. It highlights a new gameplay system called NALS, which stands for No Blind Spot All-Range Laser System, suggesting a unique shooting mechanic where you can attack in all directions. The page features character art of pilots like Rika Kunimura, Toru Kamijo, Kota Kagami, and Shiten, each associated with different ship types: power type, speed type, and balance type. Gameplay screenshots demonstrate intense, vertical shooting action. It boasts enhanced sound from the arcade version and supports multi-controllers for cooperative play, suggesting even more exciting two-player action. The advertisement also mentions Original Mode and Training Mode, promising a full-fledged shooting experience. There's a call for game programmers and graphic designers to join the Raisinizing development team, indicating they are expanding. The yellow bubble highlights the game is now on sale at a price of 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The game looks to be an action-packed and polished arcade shooter experience for SEGA Saturn fans. This page is an advertisement for the game Real Sound for the SEGA Saturn. It features the game title prominently in both English and Japanese, Real Sound, and, quote. You can also see the W.A.R.P logo at the top left. It's advertising the release of Real Sound on the SEGA Saturn platform, indicated by the large text SEGA Saturn, meaning appearing on SEGA Saturn. Interestingly, there's also Braille on the page, hinting at a unique aspect of the game, possibly related to sound or accessibility.